Today, we have been playing a ton of Paper Mario The 1,000-Year Door, and we're going to be sharing our big gameplay impressions.
Finally asking the question, is it meeting our expectations after the very long wait?
Yes. And before we get started, this episode is sponsored by Squarespace.
Thank you. Well, I have some news for you.
Uh-oh.
Birthday month is over. No more presents, no more nothing.
Nothing taped
Nothing
to the
taped
table.
to the bottom of your chair.
Nothing to surprise. Birthday month truly was wonderful.
Oh, that's great.
And you really went above and beyond.
Did I?
People were following along all month long as I opened one after another wonderful presents from you. And then you had this like sort of big birthday present that you had been working on for a really long time that you revealed to me last week. So I finally saw it. We actually made a whole video.
Yes, please watch it.
About it. Please watch it. It is something that you would never, I did not expect this in a million years to happen. And I did not expect something like this in a million years to be like a reality.
Oh.
So again.
Are we not going to say what it is?
No.
All right, that's fine.
I was telling you yesterday that like I might be literally in shock for several to many weeks.
Huh.
I think I'm still there. Like
Okay.
I have been just like still trying to wrap my head around this thing because it's so incredible. And yes, please watch the big video all about how this present came to be.
Yes.
And you know, a little teaser is that you can enjoy this present too.
Yes, it's something you can check out and do, I guess. I don't know. Really dancing around it now. I did want to say, though, I did get a ton of help from somebody in our community, Tuscoop, who I wanted to shout out, who was instrumental in making this happen. Literally required some skills that I don't have.
I really
straight up don't have. So thank you to Tuscoop for all of that. We have also made the important decision of resetting the gift-giving expectations going forward.
We are. We're resetting because we cannot top these presents right now. It's impossible. So we're back to the baseline. Yes. You'll be getting your Starbucks gift card in a couple months.
My big Christmas gift.
Your big Christmas gift is going to be
a latte.
Like an eShop card or something. A $20 eShop card. But we have to reset because it's getting out of hand, and I'm afraid that if we don't reset, like something crazy is gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like
I did feel the pressure after the last one, after my birthday. And I was like, okay, well, I'll probably, think of something cool and that'll be great. But it's like, we should probably stop after this because it's gone too far.
It's gone too far.
It's out of control.
It's gone too far. But then we'll just build back up slowly.
Oh, we will. Oh, I see.
I think so.
I mean, Applebee's gift card 2029, maybe? I don't know. We'll see.
Olive Garden.
We'll see how it goes. Oh, Olive Garden.
I love an Olive Garden.
Does that still exist? The ones around here have been shutting down.
The ones around here are gone. I think there's one in like Fairfield. That might be the closest one to us.
That's a trek from here.
You can do unlimited breadsticks and salad and soup, though.
Those are good. Yeah.
I mean,
why would you get anything else?
Why would you? It's like $7.99. It's awesome. Your $20 gift card can go so far.
We can both go. Great.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, how exciting.
Excellent.
Great.
We also have finally released our Metal Gear Solid spoiler cast. It is out. You made such a fun little promo of us doing the codec.
I had to
How did you do that?
Well, I found just like a video of the actual codec, and then we had art that was in sort of the Metal Gear style by one of our other amazing.
Yes, the incredible Alzanda.
Yeah, he is just just such an amazing artist, and he's been doing like a lot of drawings for us. And he made one which looked just like Metal Gear characters. Right. Like he has that style.
That is his style, the Yoji Shinkawa style, which not many people can pull off.
His is amazing.
And he's posted some here's a video of him drawing this thing. And I was like, I don't know. I'm seeing the motions you were doing. I don't understand how it translates
you just have
to this cool art style.
Like the eye for it, I think.
I guess so, yeah.
But he has it. And so we had that cool artwork. And so I just overlaid that over the existing codec video that I had and then like changed up all the text.
Right. Rate my David Hayter voice.
Spoiler cast?
Cast?
He always sounds like a little confused.
He's a little dumb. He's a little confused.
He's a little confused. Metal Gear?
Listen, he likes to smoke while he's shooting a rocket.
I was gonna say,
He's not,
he's got the raspy smoker voice.
He's not into these deep questions.
It's true. He's a hired gun.
Yes,
that snake.
Yes, that's right.
But yes, that podcast was so much fun for us to record and talk all about Metal Gear Solid. First time player, first foray into the Metal Gear series for me. So lots of thoughts, feelings.
Well, I'm glad we could do it because I think, when was it that they showed the last Death Stranding trailer? I think I came off as a big Kojima hater in that because I did not like that trailer. I don't really enjoy those games. Right. I don't really like the direction of current Kojima.
Right.
But it was good to go back to the earlier work and see, like, oh yes, this is why this guy is so beloved and has built this incredible audience because there was just something different about those games back then.
Yeah, exactly. I am learning just from playing this game, like, about Kojima. And it's one of those things where, like, you hear a lot about him and you hear about the Kojima style, but you don't actually know exactly what people mean by that unless you play one of these games. And so it's great for me to finally do that. I feel like I've filled one of those, like, big
it's good to do
gaming holes in my life. I have many of, but
I mean, nobody can play everything, but it is always like, oh, you haven't played that.
Right. That was like my Super Mario 64.
Back to being a fake gamer. You're back.
I'm real. I'm a real girl. That was really fun. I was really excited to do that, and that is out now. And then our next spoiler cast, no big surprise here.
This game,
is going to be Paper Mario, of course.
Yeah.
Because we are playing the heck out of this thing. And we're going to be talking about it on the podcast here, obviously, but we have so much more thoughts, I think, that we'll want to save for the spoiler cast as well.
You had a hilarious thought that you shared with me this weekend, which was, my memory is this game is about 12 hours long, so I might be beating it any day now.
And then you were like,
excuse me?
Madam, you are very wrong. It is like 30 hours.
Right,
I was like,
because I always like to check that site, how long to beat, just to plan out my time.
Yeah.
And it's, 30, 40 hours, depending on how much you want to do.
Why do I think it was so short? I played it so many times.
But you do this a lot.
I do.
You're like, well, it's time to wrap it up. And
my concept of time is
you
really
have another
up.
20 hours. I don't think you are.
Yeah, like sometimes like I'm in like the middle of the game. Yeah. I'm almost done. I like declare to you.
I have a feeling.
I'm almost done. Yeah, and you're like, you're so not almost done. And
you're maybe
like,
not.
Like this happened to me with Sea of Stars. Remember, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be done tonight.
And it happened in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It happens a lot.
And then you're like, are you still playing Sea of Stars like a week later?
Yeah.
Like, yes.
You should bookmark that website like I do, just to stop yourself from making these proclamations.
Gosh. Yes, I don't know why I feel like that. I'm happy that it's not 12 hours, but it's great.
Well, let's just jump into this conversation then, since we've already started here.
Yeah.
So maybe just to get us started. So how much have we played? You have not beat the game yet.
No.
But how much have we played? We've been checking in across the weekend. I think we're both right around the same point mostly.
Yeah, we're both. I am at the beginning of chapter 3.
It's exactly where I am too.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. But I haven't really done anything in that chapter yet.
Yeah.
So I like to take my time after each chapter, and I think you do too, to go back through Rogueport, to go back through the sewers and see whatever other little secrets you can unveil with new partners and things like that. So that's what I was doing last night.
Okay.
I had gotten that second star pretty early in my little gameplay sesh, but yeah, we're both taking our time through it. We're not rushing it.
I think I'm about 10 hours in at this point, having played through the weekend.
Right.
And yeah, there's a lot you can do kind of from the finish of whatever boss battle to when you see the pop-up of, all right, you're on chapter whatever right now.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And it's a nice loop. You kind of are used to, I hope that you're used to the cycle of getting the star, going back to the 1,000-Year Door, the map unveils the next location. Right. You talk to the adorable Professor Frankly. And then you
really like Professor Frankly.
I do. I did not like him before.
Oh no, why?
But now I really like him.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Maybe I grew up and now I like an old man. I don't know.
He's a kindly professor.
I really like him.
Yeah.
But and then it kind of opens up for you to do, stuff around Rogueport.
Yeah.
You got to chat with our little brother Luigi, of course. Hear his ramblings. And then go around the town and see what little things you can unveil.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I like that loop a lot
Yeah.
because it's you're kind of doing a big main quest sort of thing, and then you have a little break to kind of do whatever you want and explore. So that's been really nice to that's kind of the way that I've been playing it, and I really like it.
So we'll get into a lot of specific things, but what is just your gut reaction having returned to it and played as much as you have?
I'm just like in complete just like happy land right now.
You've had a lot of happy tweets over the weekend.
I've had a lot of happy. My heart is so happy when I play this game. I'm just like, not only does it completely hold up to like your childhood memories of playing a game like this, but it's so beautiful. They've done so much to kind of make some of the little clunkier bits of it a lot easier, like very good quality of life stuff that I'm feeling in the early part of the game. And this game just makes me really happy, and I'm really just like pleased with the way that they have remade it. It doesn't feel like it's taken away from the original at all. Like I don't feel like they've like disrespected the original game or anything like that. But yeah, the little quality of life stuff is like really, goes a long way, even though they feel, they kind of small things here and there, but like all together, it does feel pretty significant. So I'm absolutely loving it so far, and it's just bringing back lots of great memories for me. So,
yeah. I mean, again, so just so people know, this is my first time playing the game properly, and yeah, it's really amazing. Like I think this game, if it holds up to the same level of quality as it has so far, like it could definitely be an all-timer great kind of game.
Yeah.
Which it made me think like, this game doesn't often get brought up in like the great. There's often a lot of like debating within the Paper Mario community of like, obviously this is the best one. Why can't we ever get back to that point? But as far as like the bigger conversation about games, like this seems like, again, this could be one of the great all-time games that is out there, and it doesn't usually get into that conversation, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
But it's like, wow, this is amazing. Like there's so many great things about this. It really holds up. They've done a lot of nice things for the remake. But yeah, I was kind of doing some like internal math in my brain of like pecking order of other GameCube games. Like where would I put this? And again, I haven't finished it, so I don't think I can accurately do that. But like there were a bunch that I was like, yeah, it's clearly ahead of this or that.
Right.
I even wrote some of those down. I have just some notes of like as a first time player that I'll be interjecting with here and there. But
oh wow, I love that.
Mario Sunshine, obviously. Eternal Darkness, the Pikmin games, Luigi's Mansion, Beautiful Joe. Like those are just a couple that it's just like, yeah, even having
your heads and shoulders above
having
those.
played as little. The one that I debated was, and some people might not like this, Double Dash. Oh. It's been a while since I've played Double Dash, and I have a feeling maybe Double Dash is not holding up the same way it did back then. But yeah, like there's a lot of really well-known, well-loved GameCube games that this is obviously head and shoulders above. But again, I rarely see it getting put into those conversations. I don't know why.
I feel like the sort of the up and down that the series had, and all of that sort of discussion that you were talking about among the Paper Mario fan community, like all of the stuff that they kind of get, the conversation gets fixated around, it has colored, the perception of this game, I think. It almost feels like this game, gets put on this pedestal as a like, why can't we get back to this?
Yeah.
But it means that people don't really talk about this game by itself anymore. It just sort of gets lumped into this overall franchise, I think, and it has had so many ups and downs, and it's taken so long. I mean, there is no other game like Paper Mario Thousand Year Door in the series now. This is a remake, but they have not done like a proper sequel that is in the style of this game.
Right.
So, yeah, I feel like that just like sort of colors this game a little bit, unfortunately, because you don't get to hear about like how great this game is. You're only hearing about this game in the context of why can't these other Paper Mario games be like this game?
Yeah. The comparison I would make is like, when you watch like some entertainer, like a musician or a comedian or an actor who's been around for a long time, and like maybe their current output is like a little tired or a little like they've been around for a long time.
Yeah.
And you go back and watch like when they first came on the scene, it's like, oh my God, this person or this band or this whoever used to be
look
so
how good they were.
So vibrant, so energetic, had so much life to them that has just kind of been sucked out over the years. It's like that's what I would compare this game to.
It's so true.
You know, it's like
so true.
This really was obviously the peak of the series, and the kind of current games, really can't hold a candle to it.
Right,
in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, but when you think about the current games, or you think about Paper Mario, you can't help but think about sort of the tired current games, so you don't ever think about when it was great. So this is a good reminder. Obviously.
Is this the Chris Rock of video games?
I know. That's so sad. But I'm glad that this is giving all of us an opportunity, myself included, because I will count myself squarely within those Paper Mario fans that always say things like, I wish we had another game like Thousand Year Door, without ever actually remembering the magic of Thousand Year Door.
Yeah.
And why I loved it so much. So this is a wonderful reminder for me, because I'm playing it and I'm like, oh yeah, this is why every game should be like this game, because it is truly, so like you were saying, so magical, so vibrant. I think you were talking to me over the weekend, and one thing you said really stuck out to me, where you were like, this game feels very energetic.
Yes.
I feel like that's a very good description of it that I didn't think of myself.
Yeah.
Where it really does have like, even though it's an RPG and you're reading a lot of dialogue and you are doing this turn-based battling, there's something about it that makes it feel very like you're continue to go, you're moving along.
There's always something happening.
Something is happening.
Yeah,
you don't feel like you're just like slogging through parts of the game. So I think that's a really good way to describe how this feels different than other Mario RPGs, is it has a very like lively, energetic feeling to it.
Yeah, there's so many like really good just one-off game mechanics that, on their own are just like kind of a whatever, but when you throw them into the mix, like it does add a lot. Like when you're in the battle and like somebody's going to throw a tomato at you, like you have to keep your eye on that. There's just like, or like the way that some of the special attacks, some of the way that you trigger those are really unique and really fun. And there's just like so much. You can just tell they had a good time making this game and coming up with all these creative ideas and feeding it in.
Yeah, that's so true. And like they do such a good job adding more and more to those mechanics with each of the partners that you get. And like you sort of get this sense of like, oh, I got to learn something a bit different here, and like a little bit of an experiment of like how to do this right. But so it feels like, fresh when you change up the partners in the battles, but you still like feel very satisfied with the way that they have like put the mechanics together, where you don't feel frustrated like, oh, I can't execute this move or something like that. Right.
So we played a lot of RPGs this year.
We did.
We played Like a Dragon, played Final Fantasy, probably a couple others I've forgotten. This is obviously a 20-year-old game, but how does it feel going from those games earlier this year to this game now, which is obviously not an original game?
Yeah, I feel like this one, there's elements of it that does feel like it's a remake, like it's a 20-year-old game. There's definitely like things that they could not do 20 years ago that they had to like kind of put some guardrails up. And that's fine. I think that's what you take that at face value, because you kind of understand this is a remake. It certainly doesn't have like as much of the really like innovative like battle mechanics some of the other modern RPGs that we've played.
I don't know. I might debate that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I do feel like some of those RPGs that like a Dragon, like the battle mechanics in there is like next level.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't even feel like it is an RPG, but it doesn't feel like it, because it feels like such a mix between action and...
The Like a Dragon battle music just started playing in my head as you were having this conversation.
Yeah, but there's something like very fresh and modern about the way that some of these newer games have handled the quote-unquote like style of traditional RPG gameplay, like turn-based gameplay.
But that game does pull a lot from like paper, like you hit the button at the right time, you can do a stronger attack. Like your positioning matters. Like you can change the like that's something I didn't realize is like your character who you have in the front is the one who's mostly getting attacked.
Right.
It seems like 80% of the time that's the person who's getting attacked. So there's some strategy of doing that and like the ordering of the attacks.
Yeah.
Certain enemies that you can't reach with certain partners' attacks. So obviously that's kind of almost like a hybrid of turn-based and real time because you can move your character around. But I did see a lot of correlations to this, and I wouldn't say this felt old or dated.
I think it just felt more simplistic. It definitely has the elements of, sort of this modern RPG style gameplay.
Yeah.
That's like super slick and just feels very like action oriented, very fast paced. Like you're doing all the strategic thinking, but in a very like snappy kind of way.
Right.
This feels like it has every element of that. To your point, like it does have the strategy. It does have the the timed attacks. It has specials, which you can do in those modern RPGs as well. But it feels like a very like boiled down, simple version of all those things. But I think that's fine, for this type of game. Like you're still getting that satisfaction of when you, perfectly execute a timed attack or when you have the right partner to do like some sort of AoE, whatever. You still have a that sense of like, oh, I did this perfectly. Like this is the best strategy for this enemy. But each of those individual things that you're doing is pretty simple. And I think that is because it's a 25-year-old game, So I do think that it holds up, I'm having a lot of fun with the battling and just the RPG style in general. But it does feel like a little bit more simplistic overall. So yeah.
Do you think maybe one of the reasons this doesn't, I'm so focused on this point of like why doesn't this get brought up with like the great RPGs? Like does this game feel enough like an RPG? Do you think people get hung up on like the semantics of like, well, it's kind of a hybrid, like you're jumping around, you're doing stuff, you're freely exploring maybe in ways that you weren't in some of the other RPGs of the time. That's a thought that I had of it is not just like spit out of the RPG factory.
Right. It definitely has like again that like Nintendo twist to it, where yes, you're doing some like light platforming sometimes. You are leveling up, but kind of in a very simplistic kind of way. Like there's not like a complex character stat screen, that you're trying to balance like all your different like stats and stuff like that.
Right,
you're choosing one of three things.
Yeah.
You have the badges, which can really do a lot to augment your character, but it feels a little bit just lighter overall than.
Well, that's a comment that I had. This is one of my notes from a first-time player. Is I'm waiting for the badges to really become more of a point of emphasis and to really change up like the way that I'm playing. Like I have. At this point, I have a bunch of them equipped. And, I like the ones that give me a new attack, but I was like, is there some more like passive stuff? Like I do have the ones that when you get low on health, you'll get
like
some
close
benefit.
call.
But I haven't really had situations where I've been in low health yet to see how valuable those are. And it's like, I bet there's some cool. I mean, it seems like you get there's a lot of these. It seems like I haven't looked up like how many exactly there are. So I'm just kind of wondering / hoping, like, when does that become a bigger mix of like, oh, I'm making my build and I want to focus on this, or I really get attached to this badge.
That's the thing. I think the character build stuff, again, is a little light for like an RPG. Like again, you can only choose like 3 areas to level up. The badges.
Yeah. You're not equipping different weapons necessarily. You just kind of get better things along the way. You just kind of get better things along the way,
or you're learning attacks along the way. Badges, I totally agree with you. I have been leveling up the amount of points I can put into badges like at the same rate as everything else because I want to use more badges, but I've yet to figure out the right combination of things that really...
Does that become, like having played the game, like does that become...
There is a lot of badges.
What I'm hoping for?
But I don't know if you're going to get like, a lot of like crazy passive skills that's going to completely augment your attack abilities. They're pretty balanced. Like they have some badges. I was like in the shop for a while and looking at all the different ones they had. Like They do have some of those passive ones that you're talking
Yeah.
about. It's like raise your attack, but or like there was one that was like make the action to attack easier.
Oh, yeah.
But get less star points.
Sure.
Or the opposite, make it harder and get more star points. So those are kind of like if you really want to augment the way you play, like this could be kind of like that.
Okay.
I have some of the passive ones that I have so far is like the Happy Heart badge, which basically like you can like regen one health like between turns.
Yeah.
I also put the same thing as Happy Heart but for like flower points. Because I do like to use the specials.
Yeah, it seems like that would be a good one to dump those points into.
Yeah.
Building up flower points.
Because a lot of the times you need to use a special to defeat like the groups of enemies, especially in like the second and third area, I think.
Yeah,
so.
we found some enemies where like does not seem to be a way to defeat them unless you use
a special. Yeah. Or something like, well, you can tattle them and see what their weaknesses are, but yeah, I've just been like lazy and like I'll use like a fire flower to get rid of them or something. But yeah, I think that's why it does feel like in some of these areas, these things that make a game an RPG, it does feel a little bit more simple.
Yeah.
And there is that hybrid thing too that you were saying, like you're doing a lot of like some other actions, But the thing that I think makes this like sit up with other RPGs is the writing and the dialogue. Like that is just it's so hard to write a funny game.
Yeah.
Like everyone says, like comedy is the hardest thing to do because everyone has a different idea of what's funny.
Right.
But I feel like this game is universally funny. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Like if you're playing this game and you're not laughing, I don't know what's wrong with you. Like just because it is so well written.
Yeah.
And that's like parts of Yakuza that I love too. Like the dialogue is so well written, the characters are so well developed, and I think this can be like right up there on that same level with all of those games because you're getting to know all these original characters. They all have amazing backstories. It's hilariously written. It's just like the punchlines are so timed so perfectly. Like. Even in like, those interstitials with Bowser and Peach, it's just like movie quality writing. So yeah, I think in that respect, it is 100% up to par with all of these other RPGs.
A big deal was made about the graphics and concerns about being 30 frames a second. You have been doing the unusual thing for you.
I know.
I've usually play Switch games handheld.
I know.
You're making a big deal like, I'm actually putting this up on my projector.
Yeah, I have been playing the entire game in TV mode up on my big projector because I just really want to look at this thing.
Yeah.
I want to see, like, for myself, like, what it looks like. What does that new graphical style look like? And also, if it matters, 30 frames per second. I honestly think it doesn't. I think the game looks really, really beautiful. I did look at the GameCube graphics.
I did that too. I went back just to see. Like,
that game really does look good.
it does.
And back in the day, I think it was like a mind-blowing thing to see that style on a GameCube. It certainly blew my mind when I first saw it.
Right.
That style holds up well, I think, because it just, it's not super realistic, so you can kind of like get away with it by making things look like by doing like some of the stuff they're doing is like the like light ray tracing or whatever, like some sort of light kind of thing.
Back to ray tracing. Here we are.
Apparently, that's what makes the game pretty. According to producer Stephanie, who had to explain this to me like for like an hour one day. Anyways, they do some like lighting effects and like when we were like going across the ocean for the first time, like the waves.
Oh, yeah. Right. You had a minor complaint / worry about the world being very shiny.
There's something going on with the ground of some of the areas, especially if you. I noticed it a lot when we were in Mario's house, and the floor was like a mirror. Like you can see like every reflection in the floor. There's some other areas in the game where I saw this as well. Like it's not as noticeable when you're like outside, obviously, with like there's like trees and grass and stuff. But if you're inside buildings or you're like looking at the ground, sometimes it's like a distracting amount of shine. But but it's like literally like it's like a mirror. Like I don't understand why I need to.
Not something I noticed, but obviously very noticeable for you.
I'll take a photo for you.
Well, I'm not debating it, but it's not something I noticed.
It was very like strange. How that is. Like why would it be that way? I think they're trying to impress you with like the light.
Yeah, it's like we got these cool effects that we didn't have then.
Yeah, they're trying to impress you. They really are.
Look nice.
Yeah, they really are trying to.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you said that the GameCube game and at the time was really impressive, but this really is a big step up. Like I've seen people saying like, well, it doesn't look that different from my memory. Again, me without the memory, when I look at a side by side, it's like, wow, this is like a huge difference.
Your all memories must be like uprising the game in your brain.
Well, that's what memories do.
Yeah, your memories are weird because it looked different from my memory. I don't know what kind of memory you have, but I was like, whoa, this looks crazy good.
Yeah.
Like when I first booted it up on my big screen, I was like, oh my God, this is gorgeous. And then like every single time I go into a new area, like we went into the Bogley Woods or whatever. Recently, and I was just like, I'm just gonna run around these flowers for like 10 minutes because it's so beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Like the ground, that reflection looks nice. Like they have like the rainbow.
Well, yeah, that's an area where I feel like they were trying to pull off some effects that they couldn't quite nail in the GameCube version. When I went back to that, and I was like, no, I see the vision now of what they were trying to do.
Exactly, exactly. It's so good. It's so good.
The 30 frames per second debate, like. Again, some people are more sensitive to this that we clearly are not. It's not having any impact on me at all. But again, when I went back to the GameCube and watched the GameCube footage, I could see the 60 frames, but I was like, I don't feel like I'm missing anything necessarily for this kind of game.
I'm playing it on like a 120-inch screen.
Wow, way to humble brag.
I'm just saying that.
What does that have to do with it?
Like I don't know. Like it looks good. It holds up. It doesn't look bad.
All right. Great. We're going to take a short break from this discussion to shout out our sponsor. This episode is sponsored by Notion.
Thank you, Notion.
We are truly living in an era of information overload.
Oh, yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
And there's so much out there, so much information than before. But if you're part of Notion, you're finally putting all of that information to work for you.
Exactly. There's such a great way to use all of Notion's tools to just organize your life. You and I, obviously, we run our small business. We need to stay very organized. We have a lot going on all the time. We have a lot of things that we need to do creatively, and Notion is good at doing all the other things.
Right.
So that we can focus on the important
things,
which is great.
And before we started using Notion, we'd have a lot of moments of like, well, I made this thing, and it'd be, well, where is it? Or what kind of a document is that? Or I can't find it, and that.
Yeah.
Derailing us from the valuable moments in our workday.
Exactly.
But no more, because Notion puts all of that stuff together, makes it easy to find, easy to collaborate, is a place where any team can write, plan, organize, and rediscover the joy of play.
Oh.
Indeed.
I love it.
Can you imagine that? Yes, and if you'd like, you can even use the Notion AI assistant to make some mundane work a little bit easier on yourself.
Oh,
so,
super helpful.
We have been using it, loving it, hope you check it out. So, try Notion for free when you go to notion.com/KitandKrysta. That's all lowercase letters, notion.com/KitandKrysta, and start turning ideas into action. And when you use our link, you're supporting our show. So notion.com/KitandKrysta.
We'll put the link right over here and also in the description below.
Let's dig into some of these QOL, quality of life features, because we were pinning some of our hopes on these a lot.
Yeah.
Again, for you, you said, there are some things about this game that originally felt a bit tedious.
Yes.
Has the tedium been reduced?
A little bit, yes.
Okay.
I would say yes. Partner wheel, I don't have too
like
many
that.
partners yet, but
it's handy.
There's going to be a lot to fill in that circle soon.
Yeah.
But we have more than one partner now, so we're able to handily switch. And there's a lot of things that require you to use different partners throughout the game, so that's great. I unlocked the fast travel pipe, finally. So
this I also found, and again, if we're at the same point in the game, it unlocked a single pipe to obviously a town that I had been to before, but I was like, where's the other pipe for the other area that I just finished? Where was that?
Oh, I unlocked 2 pipes.
Oh, weird.
One for...
Maybe there was some other action I needed to do in that room. And then there's some, then you can also activate a pipe to take you back to Rogueport.
That's right.
But I was thinking the chapter 2 Is there a pipe for chapter 2? Where's that?
There is a pipe for chapter 2.
Okay, weird. I must have overlooked something.
There's a switch.
Something
Hit
there.
the switch. Anyhow, that's what it looks like. You have a pipe that goes down to a room with like a circle of pipes.
Yes.
And you have different chapters that you can go into.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really nice. That was not in the original game.
Yeah.
There was a lot of, when you were in, I believe it was chapter 4 that required you to do a lot of trekking back and forth.
Trekking to where?
Back to Rogueport.
Oh, okay.
From wherever you're going to be.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to help a lot. So far, you know, we haven't really had the need to fast travel, I would say, because
not really.
It's been pretty easy to navigate from whatever area you're in back to Rogueport, and also, and every time you have to go back through the sewers and go back into that room with the 1,000-year door. So you're sort of, you are kind of making, you kind of have to go back down there a lot.
I guess now if you have the pipe, that pipe from Rogueport down to that point is
and
permanent?
Then you can,
Okay, that's good, because that was something that was already starting to feel a little bit much of like... Because even when you go down that pipe into the sewer...
There's like enemies down there.
I'm like, which way... There's like branching paths, like which way do I go?
Oh, yeah,
Where is it? So that is nice then.
Yes, exactly. So that's really nice. A little, you know, a bit more of an ease for fast travel is good. The other things, I think QL stuff, what else did they add?
Hint system
is
not helpful. I was really disappointed with that, actually.
It's like little Goomdella comes out and goes like, you know, if we work together, we can do it.
It's like, we need to do the thing. I'm trying to do the thing. I need a hint. Give me a hint.
Yeah, the hint system is not.
Yeah, that one.
I'm remembering mostly what I need to do.
Yeah.
It's all coming back to me. So I'm okay so far, but there are some moments in chapter 2 when you're in the big tree that is a little confusing.
Yes.
So as a first-time player, I would say...
I would have liked a hint in some of those moments.
You might have needed a hint in some moments.
Yeah.
Because I was like, wait, when you go down or up? Like, it's a lot of different sub-levels and levels and sort of things.
Right. That one, unfortunately, was not really...
Yeah.
Worth it, I would say.
No, that one, I barely use it, too.
Yeah,
I'm like, I don't really have that out at all.
Yeah.
Music, it's not really QL, but the music is great.
What do you
I actually like the Switch
going
music.
with? That's my reaction again, not having any connection to the first game. I actually think the Switch versions are pretty much better across the board.
A lot of the tracks. That's a rarity. Like, usually I'm all about the original music, but the Switch music is quite good.
Yeah, there's a couple also where, like, in the GameCube, like, I was like, this song is like mostly ambient. It doesn't really have much going for it, though, where they've actually, like,
Pumped it up a little bit.
more, like, layers of, like, melody or other things to it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's... Because again, I was comparing this to those Final Fantasy games. I was like, I usually like the older music.
Me too.
This is the complete opposite.
I know, which is very surprising because
Right.
I remember I love the music in the GameCube version when I was playing it,
Yeah.
but this does feel like a step above.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm not feeling like I need to toggle the original music.
Right.
Which is kind of surprising to me, actually.
Just some other first-time player observations to throw in here.
Yes.
The pacing of the game. Don't look at my screen. Is pretty slow. This is not like a contrast with what I said of like it's very energetic. There's a lot of things happening. Yeah. That said, like you're not zooming through some of these areas.
No.
Like there are some times where I was like, can I have a run button? Like that could be nice.
Like in terms of Mario's movement?
Well, in the whole thing, like the battles. Like I know it's faster than some of the other Paper Mario games, which those were tedious.
Yeah.
Like, there are times where it's like, all right, I would like to maybe a little bit more quickly. And I think that's maybe why I resort to the flower point attacks that more so than I would in some other games where, I get a little penny pinchy with the magic points. And this one, I'm like, I'm just ready to go.
Oh,
okay. Like,
interesting.
In that Chapter 2 dungeon that we were just in, sometimes you get those spider enemies.
Yes.
And there's 4 of them.
Yes.
And every time they're attacking you, they have 3 different attacks.
They do.
So it's like, okay, I have 12 of these attacks to deflect or do something with, and it usually takes me more than 1 round of my person's attacks to get through those. It's like, this is a little...
That's boy math.
It's a little slow. What do you mean? The math was right.
That's what I mean.
I'm confused.
That's what I mean.
So... I'm not saying that to say that I don't like it, but it's just like knowing what you're getting into. It's like you're not blowing through anything in this game necessarily.
There's no like skip. You can run away from the battles. You can run. You can flee. You're right. Like the movement is very slow paced. Like when you're in the world.
Yeah.
I'm a putzer arounder
Sure.
in this game. Like I'm just like in every bush. I'm like shaking every tree.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just like to like see what else, because they do reward you with things.
Yeah,
Secrets.
yeah. I mean, I want the experience. I want the all the stuff that I'm getting out of these battles.
But the pacing,
I think it's just an expectation thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying this to say that I'm annoyed by it so far at all.
Yeah, yeah.
I get why people are nostalgic for kind of this game's style of characters, from, the party members or just the people that you meet around town. They do just have a lot of personality, and sometimes they'll transform like an archetype that you don't expect into a character that's very memorable and fun, so that's great. I get it.
Do you like the guy that you smushed their contact lens? And they won't?
No, I didn't like that lady, actually. That was annoying. Really.
I was like, of course, as soon as you move, he's going to be like...
Was there a way where you don't crunch that? Like if you don't move?
I don't think so. I think eventually you're going to have to move.
I don't know. I feel like there might be, like, you gently pick it up or something instead of crunch. Yeah.
So hard.
Kind of in the vein of, the slower pace. I do think the dungeons are maybe like 25% longer than they need to be.
Okay, I will say that chapter 2 is not my favorite.
Yes.
I've told you that, like, after I finished it, I was like, oh yeah, I remember this was like my least favorite chapter, because it does get better from here, dungeon wise.
I don't think I dislike the chapter 2 dungeon as much as you did. You seem, because it's like it has this Pikmin element, which is interesting, knowing that this is the era where Pikmin was coming out.
This is like a suck up move by
you're getting followed.
Intelligent system. He's
like, it might have been.
Hey Miyamoto, I pull a little Pikmin action in this game. You like this game?
That's a funny point.
You like it?
Look what we're doing.
Look, Daddy, I put it in. Hey, it worked.
But maybe it's because the things you're doing in the overworld to get to the dungeon, it almost feels like it's equal length.
Yeah. That's true.
Where you're more used to, like, all right, I'm doing a lot more in the overworld.
Right.
And then the dungeon is a little bit shorter.
I mean, like that first chapter when you're in the castle, Hooktail's castle, that didn't feel like a slog, I don't think. Like,
I'm not saying it's a slog, but it just felt like
you're in there for. I mean, it's a proper dungeon.
You're in there for a good while, right?
The second one, that dungeon is challenging. I think that fake Deku tree or whatever. Why
do you call it that?
Because it is. It basically is.
All right.
It's like you're like going up and down. You gotta go keep sort of retroversing around to do different things, and then you do have the punies that are like a little Pikminish, a little dumb, you know.
Yeah.
They even whistle for it to come back.
That's right.
When you go talk to the elders, it was very suspicious.
Yeah. I'm really liking all the kind of post-chapter interludes with Peach and Bowser.
So good, right?
I mean, those are pretty short, but they do add a lot.
They do add so much.
And I don't know really where
we're going
the story for either of these are headed at this point. I am enjoying the forever alone computer who seems to be spying on Peach in the shower.
There's some stuff in this game. I was like, what is this game rated? Because... yeah, it's a little creepy. Like, he's definitely watching her shower. So, what the heck? She shouldn't let him. She should, tape over the camera.
Nate Bildorf knew about the AI revolution 20 years ago.
Oh, Nate.
Yes.
But yes, that is a little creepy. But yes, her little interludes are really cute, though. Like, she's always, clicking around her little high heels.
Yeah, and she's really well-written.
Very well written.
And yeah, the Bowser stuff is a bit more kind of action oriented, but it's fun and
this is a comedy relief.
Right.
He's a bumbling idiot, you know, and he's that part where he's like he thinks that he's found her, but it's like that Peach superfans poster of Peach.
Yeah.
Classic.
Full size poster.
He rolls it up and goes in his house and slams. I'd rather die than give this to you. He's at Comic-Con, you know. Yeah. I was crying laughing. It was so good, so funny, so good. I have been surprised at the number of I don't know if this is going too far to call them Metroidvania elements, but this is the closest I can. Yeah,
where,
there is.
You get a new party member and they have a unique ability. that can help you do things in the world that you couldn't before, or you find one of those treasure chests that, like, what do they say? It puts a curse on you, but it's actually something that's actually super helpful.
Oh, that dialogue is funny too. It's like, you're an idiot. I hate you.
I'm like, oh no, what's gonna happen?
You fell for it. You stupid potato. Blah blah blah. I was like, oh, here's this like great ability.
Right. So now I have, Coops can shoot the shell out. There's stuff you can get.
You got Madame Flurry.
She can
do
blow
the
off
blowing.
the little pieces of paper that are on the wall.
You can turn sideways now.
I have that. The paper airplane.
You can do the
obviously.
airplane. Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that I can do where when I get that, I'm like, oh.
That place where I saw the thing.
The ground pound.
Oh,
which strangely they don't call it ground pound.
Why do they call it a spin jump?
I don't know.
That is not the right name for it.
I was like, at this point in Mario, we had ground pounds. Why are we not calling it that?
We should just go and call it the butt slam, because that's what everyone else calls it.
It's a ground pound.
It's a butt slam.
Spin move, because the spin
Spin
jump
move is this way.
That's the Super Mario world. You're spinning horizontally.
Yeah, you're spinning this way, not this way.
That got me a little bit confused.
I was really confused too. I was like, wait, what is this supposed to be? But then I was like, oh, it's butt slam.
Right, but those sorts of areas are all over the place where it's like, well, I wonder how I get to that. But I was like, well, I'll just have to wait my time until I get whatever the
next power
ability or friend is. So that's really fun. Yeah, I think those are most of my thoughts, again, as a first-time player. So, it's been really good. Do you feel like it's worth $60?
It's pretty expensive.
I mean, I think it's absolutely is.
But I think it is.
Quality is worth paying for.
I'm just saying. I'm just being anti.
You're being cheap?
No,
is that what you did? I used a voucher. It's $50 for me. I don't know about you.
I bought it with the company funds.
I saved us $10. Get on these vouchers.
I won't.
Terrible.
Gold points.
When we go out of business by $10, I'm remembering this.
You can have one more drink than I have.
We're in bankruptcy because you spent $60
We're
instead
not.
of $50.
That. We're doing good.
Patreon.com/KitandKrysta. Keep us out of bankruptcy.
Keep us out of bankruptcy?
I think it's very much.
It's, of course.
I think yes, two things can be true.
It's expensive.
Their pricing of these GameCube games is inconsistent and strange.
And $60 is a lot of money to pay. I agree.
I think this is absolutely worth $60.
But I think this is worth $60.
Do you want a new Paper Mario game in this style?
Yeah, I do. I want them to make a direct sequel to this game. Don't you think that would be great?
Well,
no.
I mean, we did just get that in Tears of the Kingdom, which led to a lot of annoying discussion. And I do think there are a lot of specific details from this game that they could just put into a new Paper Mario and stop getting so cutesy with all of the gimmicks and make something that maybe does feel a bit more straightforward. But a direct sequel...
You know what I want, though? Maybe direct sequel is too, closed off of a term.
Sure.
But I need to see some of these characters that they've introduced in this game, these great characters.
Like what happened to them?
Never heard from again for 20 years.
Okay.
We gotta bring these people back.
Yeah.
They spent so much time building this world that we never ever see again. It's such a waste, I would feel.
That's how video games go.
No, it's not.
That's what the Breath of the Wild team said. People say, oh, this is
This
is Paper Mario DLC.
They made Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, which is falling like a rock in your personal estimation of Zelda games.
It's fine.
Oh gosh.
But don't you want to see these characters come back?
I'm not. I'm playing the game for 10 hours ever in my life. I don't know.
They're so
I hope
great.
so.
Professor Franklin.
I hope I will like them. Yeah.
He's probably still alive.
All right. 1,000 Year Door versus Mario RPG, which we both played at the end of last year. Good. I think this is an interesting comparison point. How do you feel about comparing these two games?
Hard to do for me because I'm so colored by my original memory. Yeah. This is a funny thing to talk about because I have never played Mario RPG and I just played the remake.
Yeah.
And then you have never played the original 1,000 Year Door and now you're playing the remake. So it's like opposite. So how do you feel about it?
They have a lot in common.
They do.
And, Nintendo has all these different variations of these Mario RPGs. Like, how different are all of them?
Right.
When you boil it down, maybe less than you think.
Yeah.
I think Super Mario RPG is weirder.
I think Super Mario
lot of
RPG has
ways?
more is more gameplay focused. Paper Mario is more like story
Character and
focused.
story.
Character and story.
Yeah, that's fair.
The gameplay though in Super Mario RPG, I thought, especially in the remake, is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Like it is so much fun.
Right.
Truly so much fun. Whereas, yeah, some of the gameplay in Thousand Year Door, I will say again that it does feel a little bit simple, and maybe like a little bit slower. But the story is like next level. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's too soon for me to like say super definitively that that is the one thing that I feel is Mario RPG is just bizarre in some ways that this game is not.
Yeah.
Which has its pros and cons. We'll debate this in the spoiler cast. We'll give a more definitive answer.
We have to answer this question.
Something about these games that I just wish. All of the numbers in this game, your HP, your damage, just multiply it all by 10, please.
Because it doesn't feels very light.
I'll feel better. So if I have 10 HP and I get hit for 2 points, I'm getting worried because like, oh my god, I have 8 HP. If I had 100 HP and I got hit for 20, like whatever. Big deal.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh, you need a multiplier, but you don't need it to actually go less damage.
Well, I'm doing like 1 damage, so it literally can't go less.
But you don't.
This may be strictly a me problem.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I was confused by what you were trying to explain to me earlier. So you just need the number to be bigger. I
just want it to be bigger. I can't say why. I think I would feel better.
But it's the same.
I know, but I want it to be bigger. Just multiply every number in this game by 10, and I'll feel a lot better. We just played Final Fantasy, where it's like I do a normal attack and it does 1,852 damage.
Oh my god, that's so funny. The Final Fantasy, the numbers are
out of control.
It's like the inflation. Yeah. It's like, you know how like sometimes we get like...
this is really back to 2004.
Yeah.
A cup of coffee cost you a nickel.
Exactly. It's like weird
You could go to the double feature in the movies for 10 cents.
Or it's like the things like, you increased viewership by 3,000%. It's like, no we didn't.
That's a very specific me problem that I have.
I think that's a very you problem.
Yeah.
That's very strange.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap this up by revisiting the worries that we shared in our last episode and just see how we're feeling about these. Okay. You had a worry about it feeling, or was it you? I think we maybe both shared this one.
Yeah.
Might feel a bit outdated in spots.
Right. I mean, there's definitely things in the game that give away its age a little bit, like when Mario uses a flip phone.
Well,
I guess flip phones are back now.
I thought this stuff could have actually been a lot worse. Where it's like
terrible.
You're getting emails. It's like okay, and
you still get emails.
And I was really transporting myself back to 2004. I was like, what do we have? Oh yeah, we had emails back then. Yeah, we had. Okay.
We had like Palm Pads the first time. Remember?
Right, but there's not anything that feels like super anachronistic or
right.
They made a.
No. I don't think so either.
Right.
But there is
they made a beeper reference or something.
Payphone.
Exactly.
Some sort of like. Yeah, but so far it's been like pretty okay.
Yeah.
It does hold up, but yeah, there are some certain things in there like you're like, okay, this is 2004, Yeah.
The fan reaction. We were both worried about the fan reaction.
So far, so good.
I think the fan reaction's been extremely positive.
I think
so far.
too. I think so too. I think people are just happy right now.
There have been no bad actors claiming that this game was bad to begin with. I've not seen that take at all. Maybe that's yet to come as we get further.
Right.
So yeah, that's been very pleasant actually.
Yeah,
to see.
I have seen very good
people just enjoying this game.
Yeah, people having as much fun as we are playing it.
Yes.
So it's good.
You were specifically worried the battles and puzzles would feel basic.
The battles do feel...
You've used the word simple a number of times today.
Yeah, the battles are not like super complex. It's not like I don't think it absolutely needs to be like this ridiculous...
I don't think it's extremely simple either, though.
I think it's pretty simple.
Okay.
But not in a bad way. The puzzles, I mean, I haven't had any issues with the puzzles.
Well, it sounds like you have in Chapter 2.
Well, I mean, I figured it out like an hour later. So
an hour later?
Well, I went back to it the next day, basically.
You had to sleep on it?
I had to sleep on it.
Oh no!
So I guess maybe they don't feel basic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't.
Maybe I answered my own question.
I don't think they're basic, and I think there's maybe more of an emphasis on the puzzles than I was expecting.
Definitely more emphasis on the puzzles than I remember to be.
Right. I think the tricky part about that chapter 2 is just like there's so many pipes. It's easy to forget like which one did I come from, or I'm going up or down.
I lost the puny several times.
You leave that thing in the wall,
and they're like,
and it's like, oh man, I got to go back and get that thing out of there.
He tells you very specifically not to leave that.
Just give me the Pikmin whistle. Just let me do that.
That part where you have to like throw them into the soap and bubble them.
That's annoying. I don't like that.
That was very annoying. That was very Pikmin.
Yeah.
I was not into that. But they're cute though. They're cuter than Pikmin.
They're bugs. They're disgusting bugs. I think I like Pikmin better.
But the little sister and brother Puny with their little Puny song, it's cute.
You were worried the story would not be as good as you remember.
It's as good as I remember.
I think it's very good.
So good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Why did you feel that way?
I don't know. I was scared. I was worried that like maybe as a youth, I was easier to impress.
Okay. You had a lot of worries. You were also worried that the characters would not be relatable.
Yeah, I was worried that we would not be as okay with some of the characters that we were introduced to then. I think they're pretty okay. I haven't seen a character where I'm like ill. Like you should.
Not even the Peep and Tom robot.
Peep and Tom robot's a little.
You're fine with that.
I'm not fine with that. No, I'm not. Actually, I'm not fine with that. That's really weird. I'm weirded out.
It is hilarious.
I'm a little bit weirded out by that. She like puts her little dress over the thing, and then she's like la 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 in the shower. Yeah, there's a lot of those kinds of things in the game though. Like a lot of little things that you're like, why is this in this game? This is for like kids.
All right.
Why is this happening?
Lastly, we were both worried, what were the lessons Nintendo is going to take away from this launch? And for this one, we don't know.
Yeah, I guess it's going to have to wait and see like what the response is.
Yeah, like were they using this as a weather balloon for the next Paper Mario game? Or is it just like, hey, we got to put something out?
We got to put something out. Yeah. Or it's like, are we going to look at the sales or something like that and see how it did to gauge interest, or like exactly what was this, I kind of do feel like it was kind of like we got to put something out. But I do feel like Nintendo, they do understand that like maybe the series has lost its way a little bit, and they want to hopefully like get back on track.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like nobody has conveyed the feedback back to the dev team.
Exactly.
And, they have the ultimate say, so they can decide if do I want to listen to this, or do I have this other idea that I want to try out?
Yeah.
And I think they always like leaning towards an original idea and wanting to push themselves that way, which I think is good. It just hasn't worked out for these last couple games.
Yeah.
I'd like, your point about like having a direct sequel, that does make me nervous in some ways, but I do think there's just a lot of components of this that they could carry over to another game that would, try and... Does Chris Rock have one more great one in him?
Maybe.
The old guy's still got it.
You never know.
If they do, we need to get Nate Bildorf out of his executive leadership role.
He should come back to write
for like 6 months. Like, you need to grind. You need to grind this dialogue for the next 6 months.
He can do it.
Yeah.
He would probably love that, honestly. Just a little break.
I guarantee you, he would love that.
The 8 hours of meetings he has on ridiculous nonsense. Yeah, he'd probably be like overjoyed to not have to do that.
Yes, I think that should be a contingency of them doing the next Paper Mario game.
Exactly.
Like, we need him specifically to do this.
Yeah. Because, I don't think there's any way for you to replicate that style of comedy.
Yeah.
That's just who he is.
Right.
So, you just need him to do it.
Oh, I did find one more of my thoughts that I wanted to share. We talked a lot about NSO and like, oh, we have Nintendo 64, but do we want the GameCube on there? Mm-hmm. And we've said like, Nintendo may feel like the GameCube is where their like modern gaming era began.
Right.
And this does really reinforce, again, me thinking about those GameCube games. Like there is a clear line of like the level of quality and the features that still resonate with players today. Where like, that is it. This platform is it. And I think they can follow this path a lot more. And I think they should get more consistent with it, of how they, price these games and features-wise, how they release these. But like, it feels like there's a lot more that they can go back to the well with from GameCube.
Totally.
And, still put out something that feels like the modern player is going to enjoy it.
Yeah, between this and Metroid Prime, I think they have a good like map for sort of where they need to be. Like, I think that game was probably like, sort of, not to say it in a bad way, but like the lower end, and this is like the higher end, right?
What was the lower end?
Metroid.
What made that the lower end? I had to do a double take when you said that.
In terms of like, they didn't put as much like QOL, like new stuff in it.
Maybe it didn't need it. Perfection then, perfection now.
Maybe, that's
They did do
true.
a lot with the graphics.
They did a lot with the graphics. And then for Paper Mario...
They added all those control... You better take that back. I need you to take that back.
But then how come that game was $40 and this game is $60?
That's a problem that they made for themselves. Nobody knows. Nobody can explain it. It doesn't make sense.
Because that's how I think they're looking at it. They're looking at that as a lower end and this is a higher end in terms of development costs. And so now they're like, they got to figure out what this middle path is here. You know? Don't squint at me.
Gonna.
Why?
No,
it's true.
How much are you going to be willing to pay when the Wind Waker HD, which you've been saying is coming for years now, when that finally comes out, how much are you going to be willing
to... Switch 2 or Switch 1?
Whatever. How much are you going to be... Are you $70? Is that what you're saying on Switch 2? You're going to pay $70 for 4K Wind Waker?
That's a lot.
Answer the question. How much are you going to be willing to pay?
I have to think about
when we already got those features on the Wii U. And they've taken features out because you don't have a gamepad.
I'm going to think about it. What if the Switch 2 is dual screen?
What if it has a gamepad?
What if it has,
what a cop
What if
out.
the Switch 2 is a gamepad for Switch 1?
For backwards compatibility purposes, we are including a Wii U gamepad.
A Wii U gamepad.
The price is also $800. Please understand. We got some comments from our Patreon subscribers, hearing how they are all feeling about this game after playing it for this first weekend. Mark Cruz says, "This is the first time I have played the game and I have thoughts. If I didn't know this was a GameCube game, I would not blink. And I at this being a regular modern release of Paper Mario. The best one at that. So funny, gameplay very fun, not too complicated, not too simple. The dialogue is outstanding, I love the characters, and I really enjoy all the locations. If this game sells well, I do hope they go back to this style."
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome.
Say what?
What?
Says, "Love the remake so far. Graphically, it looks beautiful, and the music remixes are top-notch, yet I do prefer the OG soundtrack to it, although I imagine that's the nostalgia speaking. I will say one thing I don't like is the UI. It's more modernized and generic. It takes out a bit of charm from the game, but I'm sure that's just a me thing. That being said, I'm enjoying the heck out of it, and I hope y'all are too. I think it's a fantastic remake and a great way to experience it for the first time for newcomers."
Okay.
Thoughts on the UI?
I didn't really notice it being super different, but maybe I'm just not remembering the specifics of the UI.
Okay. Finally, Mario Man 392 says, "As a huge fan of the original, I'm able to pick up on all the countless little changes made to make the experience better. From more expressive animations and poses to leitmotifs of later events woven into the dynamic soundtrack, I have been constantly surprised. Some of the best changes come from small quality of life changes. For example, there was a badge in Hooktail Castle that in order to get required backtracking quite a ways in the original. The remake added a convenience pipe to go back up top once you obtained it. There have been little fixes like this all over, and I love it."
Yeah. I agree that like it's been really fun to just poke around and talk to all the old characters and stuff like that and see what their animation changes are and things like that. It's been really fun to do that.
Cool. Well, that's going to wrap up this first week's discussion on this game.
Yes.
More to come, and the big discussion will be coming in our spoiler cast at the end of June. It's not even June. It's not even June yet. Wow.
We're still playing.
We got a head start. Cool. All right, we have a real big news section for you this week. First, we got another sponsor to shout out. This episode is sponsored by Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform to help you stand out and succeed online. Whether you're just starting out or managing a growing brand, Squarespace makes it easy to create a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything from products to content to time, all in one place, all on your terms.
Oh boy, we just updated our website recently.
Sure did.
Now it looks so much nicer, and we use the not only like the blueprint graphical tools that Squarespace has, but also the SEO tools.
Yes.
I really like.
We needed that.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to make a functional website, but it's another thing to have the people come and find it. And there's so many little tricks of the trade that you need to know.
Exactly.
Like, well, how when somebody searches for this, how are they going to actually find it? So that's really nice that they have that built in and help you, really get the key, focus of what your site or your service is about right there front and center. a few years ago, you needed to hire like this is a website
web designer,
architect,
yeah.
a web designer to like if you wanted to have even like a really basic sort of website. But that day is over because yeah, like you were saying, the Squarespace blueprints and the Fluid engine, it is drag and drop.
It's so easy,
simple, which is so great.
Even I can do it because I did.
Yeah, and it's like, oh gosh, if we want to make these changes, like we made some pretty comprehensive changes to our site, which I think, a couple years ago or using some other service could have been a real headache to the point where it's like, maybe we don't even do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can stay on top of what we want to do and making it as nice as we want. Another thing that's nice is like integrating video is so easy.
Right.
And they know video is so integral to websites these days, so many different ways that you can do it, and it all looks amazing.
Yeah, we actually uploaded a whole bunch of videos to our site as well, so it looks really nice. And you can even put the videos behind a paywall if you want to sell that as a product on your site, which is pretty cool as well.
So head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/KitKrysta to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
We're going to put the link right over here and also in the description below.
News time.
News.
Unlike last week, which I think had no Nintendo stories, this is very Nintendo heavy.
I know, tons.
So where to begin? Nintendo has made an acquisition. This happened mid last week. Nintendo acquired Shiver Entertainment.
This is the Embracer closing sale.
Yeah, so this was previously
sale.
owned by Embracer. This is a studio that maybe was not so much about making their own original games, but was pretty focused on porting and had worked on the ports for Switch of Hogwarts Legacy and Mortal... I see it getting reported different ways. Some places say Mortal Kombat 1, some places say Mortal Kombat 11. There's a big gulf in quality between those two. I kind of would want to know which one it is.
Yeah, I was going to say one of the ports was good and one wasn't.
Right.
Because Hogwarts Legacy, I've heard from a lot of people. I played this game on PS5, but people say that it was very good on Switch.
And that version sold really well.
Yeah.
Nintendo said Shiver's focus will remain the same, continuing commissions that port and develop software for multiple platforms, including Nintendo Switch. What do you make of this?
Well, I think it's great. They probably just need this kind of support for third-party developers that want to bring their games to Switch, especially if Switch 2 is coming. Obviously, they're going to want... They're going to want, like, as much third-party support as possible. They learned that lesson in a very difficult way with Wii U, and then when the Switch came out, it was like so much better because there was so much third-party support from day one. They really see the value in that. So I'm sure they want to get something like this set up so that they can have like kind of a resource for third-party devs. I'm sure Shiver can step in to like help them port their games over or be a consultant in ways for studios that want to do this. So yeah, I think it's a great sort of, it's not like a flashy acquisition, but I think it's a very smart and like something that is very executional that's going to be important for them when they start to get all the stuff ready for Switch 2.
I'm sure it was also very inexpensive.
I was going to say, it's probably, again, fire sale.
Seems like a relatively small team that they brought on.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you don't hear about it as much, but a couple of years ago, there was almost like this cottage industry around these studios who were just whizzes at porting these games that seemed impossible onto the Switch. I remember, I think Panic Button is the name of the team that ported all of the Doom games over, those were great versions.
Yeah.
And CD Projekt did it with The Witcher.
Witcher, right.
So yeah, that's where my mind went as well. Like these, first parties, they always just have a team of people who are experts in the platform. And you might get contacted by a third party who's making a game for your platform is just running into some problems. Like, well, what can we do? And they get referred to these people who know it inside and out and know it the best and help them overcome their problems.
Yeah, yeah.
And you also wonder, like, is there some scenario where for rare occasions where it's kind of you have a big third party who's on the fence about bringing their game over? This is something Nintendo could potentially offer. Like, hey, we have this team. This is what they do.
They can help.
You're worried about the porting process, or is it going to be a good version? We'll put these people on loan for you for some amount of time, and they'll help you get over the hump, no cost. They're just available to you. That's a great service to have.
It is. I think it'd be very enticing for a developer that maybe is a little bit concerned to like be able to utilize something like this.
Yeah, I have to imagine that's one of the lessons that they had from the from the Switch generation, where it's like, yeah, for the first half, we had a lot of these third-party ports, but then once the generation shift happened with PlayStation and Xbox, it got harder, and those started to dry up a little bit. So what can we do to just keep that pipeline a bit more open than it was?
Yeah, the other thing is, I feel like this is still a big challenge at Nintendo. When we were there, this was something that was brought up as a challenge as well, is that like the ports that come to Switch, they were always like a little bit late. Like they would come like months after the original release, or even years sometimes, and sometimes they would add like a Switch specific thing to make it feel different and appealing. But a lot of times it's like, oh, it's kind of unfortunate because this is a great game, but everyone's already played it, and sort of the conversation and the excitement around this launch has passed months ago. So I wonder if this will help them get tighter on that timeline. Like if they could do like same day as other platforms, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
So this could be a real help to them there, because I know that was something that they were desperately trying to overcome on the third-party side.
Yeah. Some people did get a little fixated on the Mortal Kombat connection,
But is it 11 or 1?
Well, honestly, like I feel like it doesn't matter because, Nintendo's going to do their research. There could have been all sorts of reasons why that version was not great that go beyond that team. So I'm sure as they're, evaluating, should we make this acquisition or not, I'm sure they're looking into those reasons, and I'm sure they felt comfortable with, the level of work or...
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like even Warner Brothers was completely caught off guard with the state of that game when it shipped.
I just understand it. That's like really strange. Like no one looked at this person's face.
Yeah, I trust their evaluation process to understand the root reasons for that and feel okay that it won't happen.
Yeah, hopefully it won't happen again.
All right, next story. This was a shocker of an announcement.
I know. I thought it was a joke.
Dropped on a Friday.
I thought it was a hoax.
I also had to check multiple sites.
And then I saw
is this for real?
The actual press release, and I was like, oh, this is a Nintendo release.
So Nintendo's announced they are opening another retail store in the United States, this time in a backyard in San Francisco.
Literally in my backyard. Literally.
Yes. Yeah. The store is going to be opening in 2025. It's going to be in Union Square, which is one of the big retail spots in San Francisco.
Yeah.
It's going to be called Nintendo San Francisco.
Yeah.
Not a lot of other information was shared, but... You actually did a little video where you went on the scene. And scouted out Union Square. And shared some thoughts about like where this could go, how it would fit in.
Yeah. It's such a surprise because, I just didn't think like another store in the U.S. was sort of part of their, quote, business plan. Obviously, they've been opening these stores in Tokyo and Kyoto, so that's been the last two. We were joking.
And there's all those stores in Europe. Oh wait, there's nothing.
I was gonna say we were just
all those
around.
Nintendo Lives they've had. Oh wait, they haven't done that either. Oh gosh, all those theme parks they've opened. I really feel for Europe.
Where's the Nintendo Paris? that could have been a real
that would have been cool.
You would have elevated your image.
That would have been cool.
Avant-garde Mario.
That would have been cool.
Would have been cool. But yes, this is happening it's fun that it's in our hometown of San Francisco, which means we are looking forward to doing tons of videos for you guys from the San Francisco store when it opens. I went around to Union Square, like just thinking about like where possibly they could place the store. That area does need to like get a little breath of fresh air, I think, because after the pandemic, everybody's shopping habits just totally changed. Like a lot of those stores were pretty dated in Union Square. Like I think they said like Macy's is not like coming back, but like who shops at Macy's still, So it's going to be interesting to see where they put the store and how
There's no shortage of openings.
There's no shortage of openings. There is a lot of luxury stores in that area. New luxury stores have moved in over the last few months. I've seen like several announcements, like really high-end stores are opening. And whenever I go there, those are the stores where people are. Like, I'm surprised. Like, there's always a long line out the door at the Louis Vuitton. I'm like, how are all these people buying Louis Vuitton? Like, this is expensive stuff. Like, So that is the kind of retail I think that, is like popular. Tons of tourists are still in that area. Like there's a lot of like those big bus tours that go by there. There is the cable car, that's like the famous Powell Street cable car turnaround that's right there in that area that potentially could have a store. But it does feel a little bit like Rockefeller Plaza in New York City, where it's like very touristy. They have like, that ice skating rink in the wintertime.
Right.
They have the ice skating rink in the wintertime in Union Square as well.
Big Christmas tree.
Huge Christmas tree. The Apple store, the huge like flagship Apple store is right across the way. That's just 1 million people in there every day.
This area does have a bit of an image problem, though.
It does.
Like,
I think it
you were
totally
saying,
does.
like, there is basically like a permanent
There's
police presence.
There's so many cops there.
In Union Square.
Oh my God, it's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, it does.
So you think about like, if you were to do like some, people camp out for a week at, Nintendo New York, like how comfortable would you feel doing that in Union Square?
I think it's probably fine. I don't think those people are after you.
Right, you can do it then.
People are after some other stuff, not you.
You can do it.
I won't be. But yeah, I mean, this area definitely has like some issues that I think the city is trying to solve, and I don't really want to get into it because it's kind of annoying. But yeah, I hope that it is going to be a great store. I hope that it's going to be in a great location. I mean, I think, if we're looking at the New York store as sort of the blueprint for that, I'm sure it's going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And that area needs new stuff it needs to turn over from old retail to new retail.
Yeah. You could tell that the city felt this was a big get because here's a post from the mayor of San Francisco, London Breed. Maybe this can turn into your local politics rant. But yes, sharing this ridiculous AI image.
Terrible AI image.
So funny.
Somebody at Nintendo snapped a pencil for sure.
But yeah, they were touting this is a big addition to the city, trying to counter some of those stories that are out there.
Yeah. As a person that lives there and goes there very frequently, I can tell you that the media has totally overblown a lot of this.
So why do you think they chose San Francisco?
I don't know, honestly. I wouldn't have.
I'm not entirely sure about this either. So
it's a weird decision.
Los Angeles, you don't need to do because you have Universal, and they have a great store that is open to the public.
It's a great
that
store.
Carries a lot of the same stuff that you get at Nintendo New York, minus the games and hardware.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything else they have, you can get at that store.
Yeah.
So it would be redundant to open like Nintendo Hollywood or something like that.
Seattle, I don't think they see that as like a big quote media market because it just doesn't have the cachet of a New York. No offense, Seattle. I honestly was really surprised that they opened a second U.S. store. I thought for sure that it was going to be, if they opened anything else, it would be in another country, like Canada or Europe. Sorry, Europe.
Jeez.
I just was
the country of Europe.
It's my favorite. Or somewhere in Europe. My favorite country. It's my favorite country. I really thought it was going to be Nintendo Paris. I don't know. I really didn't think that they were going to open another U.S. store. That just seemed very strange to me and kind of unnecessary, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know if they. Yeah, it feels like not really something they necessarily need.
That's what I was thinking too. It was very strange. Why? Because the New York store. Everybody knows the New York store is for marketing purposes.
Right.
These stores are not they're making money off these stores.
Yeah.
They're probably losing money off the stores, honestly. They're just there to have a brand presence in these cities and use it for an event every once in a while. Sure, why not? You can use the store for free for an event. But it's not it's a part of their business revenue model. So the rationale of opening a second U.S. store was just really baffling to me.
Yeah, I'm not sure I necessarily get it. Although I think you and I will benefit from it for sure. So
they opened it for us.
Like it from that point. I will say, some of the other former Nintendo employees that we associate with had some feelings about this.
They were going through it.
They had some feelings of.
I don't know if they've recovered.
Oh, you're interested in a presence in the San Francisco area? How funny! It seems like you just had that. Oh wait, you shut it down. Yikes. How did you feel about it?
I did not make that connection, but I knew other people were making that connection because I got many text messages
Angry text messages
from people that were like, I can't believe they closed our office only to open a store. I'm like, why does this matter to you? You have a great new job and a new life that does not involve you being on a phone with Japan at like 8 p.m. and you're doing great. Like, what's the deal? I don't know. I didn't even make that connection until I started receiving all of those texts from people in the morning. When
I briefly made that connection, but again, I think I focused more on like, why would they want to do this here?
Yeah.
And trying to unravel that. Obviously, we'll never know because they'll never do an interview or talk to anybody about it until probably the thing opens.
Yeah.
So, will this be open in time for the Switch 2 launch? Probably not because there's no active work happening.
Yeah.
They have not said this will be the location.
Yeah. Once they do, though, yours truly will be on the spot.
Yes.
Me and Chili. I was walking my dog and I was like making a video. It was really fun. But I will be your personal shopper. Anyone has a request, call me. I will be on the construction site with my binoculars, looking very closely at what they're doing.
Oh, you're going to set up like a telescope and like see, like, I saw them building the whatever in the back.
Yes, I will do your reconnaissance.
Exciting.
All of your reconnaissance.
One thing that's good though is
infiltrate.
Those stores always get constant replenishments of stock.
Yeah.
So that does make me feel a tiny bit better about my Switch 2 anxiety. Because they're always getting like Amiibo, they always had it stocked. All the stuff that's hard to find, they always have that coming in.
That's what I'm saying.
I do feel slightly better about that.
Call me up, people. I'll go to the store for you.
Okay.
Yes, I'll be your personal shopper.
Next story is a story that just kind of kept going last week and went some interesting places.
Oh, this was very interesting.
So, your boy Neil Druckmann, who's the head honcho over at Naughty Dog, he was part of. So, Sony did their like 2024 corporate strategy presentation, which was just like a big video on YouTube that you could just watch.
So boring, though.
I don't know if that's something that they
usually... We tried to watch like 10 minutes of it, and we were like snoozing.
I don't recommend watching this. It is as boring as you think it would be. But as part of that, and one of the themes of that was like, we're empowering the creators of the world, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And they had some supplementary stuff, which included interviews with Neil Druckmann. And he said some stuff in there. One of the things he said was talking about how AI will push the boundaries of storytelling in games. His quote is, AI is really going to revolutionize how content is being created, although it does bring up some ethical issues we need to address. With technologies like AI and the ability to do motion capture right from home, we're reducing both costs and technical hurdles, opening the door for us to take on more adventurous projects and push the boundaries of storytelling in games. This evolution is truly empowering creators to bring their visions to life without the traditional obstacles. Okay? Thoughts on that?
Well, every time you say AI in the same context as creative, people freak out. Yes. So I think people freaked out.
I mean, based on Google search results, AI is telling me that I can fly. So
if you just don't look down.
That's exciting for me,
you
personally.
should definitely try it.
I've always wanted to fly.
There's a cliff, just jump right off.
Right.
Yeah. Clearly there's some major issues there. But yeah, I think there is a lot of like red flags always being waved around whenever we hear this kind of stuff, because we just think about like all of the bad side of it, people losing their jobs, the stuff being super generic and ugly and weird, and it's just like it's rife with issues. So of course, everyone freaked out when they heard him say this. So
I mean, every company is under pressure to say like we're getting deep into AI. Yeah. Like even the stuff with like Google, like I imagine that's just like, hey, investors, look, we're getting it out there, and whether it works or not, people, those people like that. I'm like, oh, great, we're at the cutting edge. It'll work later, whatever.
Yeah, we're surrounded by that here, and it literally infuriates me.
So as part of this Sony corporate meeting or presentation or whatever,
I'm sure
they're kind of guiding him down that path of like, hey, tell the investors we're doing this, right? Tell them that. And you can tell he's got a bit of a, there's pros and cons to it.
Yeah.
I do wonder, like, you hear these like, nightmare scenarios of like, well, they're just going to lay everybody off and let the AI make the game.
Yeah.
But, in the like mega AAA game space, like maybe there is some of that work that was hard that could get easier without having to, reduce your workforce. I think that is the dream. I think I don't know if there's been any examples of that are really being pointed to. But I'm an optimist. Maybe that's what we can hope for as technology advances.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of technology that we use as tools. You use it to help you do your job, not take your job completely.
Right.
Or take away, the really magical thing that happens with human creativity that you cannot replicate with a robot. To your point, like, I don't know if we've actually done that yet. Like, all the tools are kind of like in these weird places. They're being shoehorned into use for different things. That is just comical, because people are always trying to say, these companies are always trying to stay like on the cutting edge or like on the forefront of AI. But I don't think anyone's actually applied it in the right way yet. So until that happens, I mean, I guess we can keep our minds open, but
at the same time, though, you do occasionally see something from somebody who's really well plugged in. There's like, you'd be surprised at how many studios are already like deeply integrating AI in ways that they don't know.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to come out and say it.
Yeah, like a lot of the technology, like the technological stuff they're using, like when you are using those like NVIDIA chips and stuff like that is like an AI chip. You know what I mean? Like you're using it to like do things already. So yeah, that's very true. Like you might be surprised at how much is already integrated in. But I think whenever it's coupled with creativity or like taking over human creativity, taking the place of human creativity, it becomes just like this hotbed of potential issues,
Yeah, I actually feel maybe a bit optimistic about what he's saying here. Because he is on the creative side. That's his focus. Even though he's now basically like running the studio.
Yeah.
And you can sense that kind of conflict inside of him of like, like there are these ethical problems that we need to overcome.
Sure.
And but like there could really be in the very, very hard work of making these gigantic games, like maybe there are some things that could make that easier. And he feels like the right kind of guy to manage maybe that pressure from up high of like, well, if you need this, then let's lay off half the team. He might be the conduit to say like, no, and here's why.
Yeah, I hope so.
Whereas, others might be quicker to fold, unfortunately.
Yeah, I really hope so. I hope he can become, just not only like a shield, but also continue to like educate all of us because we don't know. You're the one doing it, so maybe you can have more insight than we understand, right?
There was also a line in there about basically their next game could like redefine entertainment or some really like outrageous like that got people raising some eyebrows. And then a couple of days later, he came out and said like, that's actually not what I said.
Oh my God.
He had like some tweets. In editing my rambling answers in my recent interview with Sony, some of my words, context, and intent were unfortunately lost. Well, here's the full, long, rambling answer for the final question about our future game.
That was amazing.
And basically what happened was he did give a very long response, which was like paragraphs long, and they edited it down to paraphrase or kind of putting words in his mouth.
Did he not review the answers afterwards?
I don't think he did.
Uh-oh.
I like how this is all cap Sony. He's trying to respectfully push back on this.
I know. He's like, I'll say your brand right.
Without throwing them under the bus. Yeah.
We used to do this a lot, especially because we would translate a lot of interviews from devs. And we would like have to like rewrite some of the answers so that it made sense. Or like sometimes it would need to get like a little bit edited down. But we were always so careful. We would always make them check the answers.
Yeah, I would never say we were like rewriting or condensing anything that they said. A lot of times, like we would get it in English, but it was done by somebody who was not like a fully native English speaker. Yeah, it was just
like grammatical things.
It's like this is not like full on proper English.
Or like a sentence maybe didn't make sense, and we would rewrite the sentence and be like, "Is this what you meant to say?"
Right.
And then they would like confirm or deny.
Yeah, so
that's so weird that
pretty
they didn't do that with
interesting, and if you feel so highly about Neil Druckmann that you want to put his words out there on your Sony corporate strategy thing.
Maybe you should make sure
you're getting the point of what he's saying, or are you just so caught up in like this fantastical statement of like, oh my gosh, this sounds so great. The investors are going to love this.
That's crazy to me.
I don't know.
And that's so disrespectful to him.
Yeah.
Like, I would be so mad if that happened to me.
Right.
I would be so mad.
Yeah. Again, you can tell he's trying to be very respectfully pushing back on this. But
I'm glad he did.
I think that was a smart thing to do. I'm just like, here was my actual answer.
Yeah.
Long as it may be.
Read the 3 paragraphs. If
you can come to your own conclusion about what I actually said.
Exactly, because he's not saying that he didn't say some parts of this.
Right.
But I actually respect him for coming out and saying that, because I mean that's just messed up.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Last story, IGN has acquired multiple game media sites.
Yeah.
So they acquired the Gamer Network family of brands, which includes GameIndustry.biz, Eurogamer, Rock Paper Shotgun, VG47, and Dicebreaker. I'm not familiar with that one.
Mm-hmm.
So that Gamer Network also has the Hookshot Network, which includes Nintendo Life, Push Square, Pure Xbox, and Time Extension. And I guess somehow those are not involved in this.
Right.
I'm not sure about the exact mechanics of why.
So they're excluded.
But those people were pretty quick to come out and say, we are not part of this. We will remain independent somehow.
Good for them.
Okay, good for them. And
I like Nintendo Life a lot. So I'm glad that they're independent still.
Alongside that announcement, they said the layoffs had begun, the redundancies had been identified. And it was ridiculous. It was like in the article that was posted on gamesindustry.biz about your own website. It's like, redundancies have been identified and eliminated.
It's like in that tweet, they should have been like, I'm in a redundancy, I have been eliminated.
The person writing this tweet has been sacked, yeah.
This is ridiculous. What the heck is going on?
Yes, what is your answer to what is happening?
This doesn't seem right at all. This seems like some weird monopoly. Like, how are we going to know? It just seems icky all around. Like, first of all, you're just basically conglomerating all of these outlets so that you maybe don't have that type of like independent thought or differences in reporting. Like, it's good to read a lot of different kinds of outlets that are owned independently or owned by different people so that you're not getting the same story or result.
Yeah, that's
every
a good
time.
point.
You should be like reading, all of the media across the board and then coming to your own decision after you've done that. Like, you shouldn't just be reading like 5 outlets that are actually one outlet. Like, that seems really weird. Really, really bad.
Yeah, it seems like games media might need just sort of a hard reset because, there was a time where IGN and GameSpot were kind of neck and neck size-wise and impact-wise, and it was really like hard to choose. Like, well, if I want to give one of them an exclusive, who's it going to be? You had to think hard about that. And IGN has just gotten so much bigger that they are, the biggest thing out there by a really significant margin.
Scary.
So, they obviously just want to get bigger, and, you do wonder about their other aspirations for some of these, like something like a Rock Paper Shotgun is like a very niche, but also a very, important, like high-level writing that goes on in there. Like, are they going to care to keep that going if it's just like makes up, 0.5% of their
readership
revenue or their readership or anything? Or just be like, all right, that's a rounding error, just cut it loose. Eurogamer is very big and very respected. GamesIndustry.biz, that's an interesting one. Like that's one that like a lot of people at Nintendo, like that was the one
like
site.
They live and die off that site.
Subscribe to the GamesIndustry.biz newsletter. It's like,
I know.
Did you see this?
They go to like all the dinners.
It's the same thing as like your mom. Like my mom still does this.
If
something is in the newspaper,
big deal.
I will be hearing about it.
Big
like,
deal.
Did you see the story about Nintendo in the San Francisco Chronicle?
Yeah.
It's like, well, no, I haven't read a newspaper in years, but thanks. That happened when the Nintendo store opened.
Did your mom? The
Chronicle? Huge news. Huge news in the Chronicle. Nintendo's opening a store.
I mean, I don't read the newspaper, but I definitely read. I subscribe to like the digital site. I do like the Chronicle.
Right.
But
yeah, that's like a trade. That's like a trade.
Outlet. Yeah. Lots of like, kind of like more drier topics.
Yeah, it's like did you acquire this just to get Eurogamer and you don't really
care about
the other stuff. I mean, game industry does it.
VG247 though has reported so much Switch rumors.
Oh, sure.
That's like the premier Switch rumor site now somehow.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. This feels weird to me. I really get worried when I see these kinds of things becoming like almost like monopoly situations, you know?
Yeah.
And media is so like you want to keep it pure, you know. You want to make sure you trust the people that are writing these stories.
And you want a variety of outlets you can go to.
You want a variety.
Find one that kind of matches your own preferences and interests. Yeah.
Or you want someone that is, you know, different from you to like give you a new perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Like you need that kind of variety. So I hope that they don't lose that with this kind of acquisition. Maybe there's like a grand plan to keep them operating in their own way still. I don't know.
Yeah, it's called layoffs.
Oh gosh. That makes me so sad.
That's the news.
Okay.
We'll wrap it up there.
Wow.
Ever heard of a site called patreon.com/KitandKrysta?
I have actually.
Your name's in it. Hope you have.
I have actually. It's a great place to be, honestly.
We have some incredible stuff. We have not been acquired by IGN, and we don't plan on it. Early access, exclusive content. We're in that Discord chatting it up with all of you guys. It's a great place to be. Check it out.
We just had our monthly meetup.
Oh yeah.
Over the weekend.
With Pokemon Unite.
Pokemon Unite.
That was so much fun.
Great time. We have some very, very good players in our One Up Club.
We do.
Yeah, some of them are formidable. Mm-hmm. But it was so much fun. But we do tons of, you know, extra fun community activities with our Patreon subscribers. So join us, won't you?
Please. First question we have in our Q&A section is from Baby Chris. Howdy, Kit and Krysta. With newer video game trailers, providing an overview trailer gives a mixture of telling the audience how to play the game and sharing key moments in the game. Do you like these kinds of overview trailers, or do you miss earlier video game trailers that put more effort and style to pull you in with their game trailer? Thanks.
I'm an overview trailer supporter.
Yeah, I like these.
I need to know the information, right? For me, like I think for both of us, like we just have so many games to play. And, you know, some games I do follow pretty closely and kind of like know what I'm getting into before the game comes out. And I know I'm already going to buy it and I've already set aside time to play it. But some games I might be on the fence about, or I might have not followed along all the way and I'm missing pieces of information. Like I need a 6-minute trailer to tell me what it is, you know? I just need it. So I'm fine with it being like a little bit drier, you know? Like I know what Baby Chris is saying, where it's like, oh, okay, you just get sort of like this templatized thing where it's like, these are the things that you need to know about this game, and it's not as flashy as some of the more like teaser trailers or things like that.
Right. But
I don't mind it, and I just, at this point, I just need the information to make a decision on whether or not I'm going to play a game. So, yeah.
It does feel like with Nintendo specifically, kind of the promotional cycle for these games has been even more condensed down, where it's like, okay, it'll be in a direct, you'll get an overview trailer, and then the thing's out.
Yeah.
Whereas before, you might get 3 or 4 trailers revealing some specific thing.
Yeah, depending on the game. I mean, like a Zelda game and a Mario game is very different.
Yeah.
Like they do kind of keep more cinematic teaser kind of things for Zelda games, and I think they did that with Tears of the Kingdom. Mario games, obviously. But they are very cyclical in their approach of how they give you the information for a game these days. And it's a little formulaic and a little dry, but I don't mind it too much, I guess.
It's good. I mean, it is nice, like, how much info they can pack into 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Too. So I think they serve a good purpose. I saw Nintendo had a
paper airplane expert.
Wow, how does that stack up against the walking expert?
They both are the same age, I think.
Could have been the same guy for all we know.
Oh, he's a walking and a paper airplane expert?
You could probably be an expert in both, just saying.
That's an amazing
Just saying.
life to lead if you're both a paper airplane and a walking expert.
Gartu's got the next question. When you were working at Nintendo, did you ever release a game that other people in the company thought was bad or wouldn't live up to expectations? I think of the news story where everybody's 1-2 switch was just a rumor that Nintendo had trouble deciding how to release the game because they didn't view it as being good. So not one that we were worried about, but we just kept hearing about other people hand-wringing.
There's a lot of hand-wringing all the time. So like
usually not about quality, though.
not about quality, but more about like what audience is going to want this.
Okay.
I think more so that. Like there are always sort of like more niche games, like JRPGs, I would say is a category of hand-wringing because while they know that, we kind of were going after a very specific audience for these games, there's always these like grand sales aspirations of it becoming like a breakthrough hit or like some kind of sales juggernaut. Like this is going to be the one. Like a Dragon Quest game was always in that category. It's like, here we go. What kind of nonsensical stuff are you going to make me do to like expand the Dragon Quest audience when it's kind of more of like a niche game? So I would say like that happened a lot at Nintendo where like they would kind of start with one idea of it being like, okay, we know that we're going to hit this one specific audience and we're going to sell like X amount of copies and whatever. And then like throughout the campaign, they're like, but what if we expanded the audience and we can get millions more? Now we're changing the sales forecast. We're like,
you got to do that.
Always change the sales forecast halfway through. Yeah.
The one game that immediately came to mind for me with this question was the original Hyrule Warriors.
Oh, yes.
Which was, it was definitely eye-opening at the time of like, well, oh, wait, what? You're combining Zelda with, Dynasty Warriors? But within NOA, there was a lot of worry of like, this game's not going to be good, or this is going to like drop the status of Zelda.
Yeah.
Like maybe we should just tell Japan we're not going to put it out and just keep it in Japan.
Yeah.
So keep this pristine image. And I had the opposite impression as a Dynasty Warriors fan. I was like, this is awesome. I love these games. There's a surprisingly big audience for these games.
Right.
So maybe get over it.
And they did eventually.
They did.
And it was fine.
And it sold great and got sequels and everything. And all these different versions.
Say the Hyrule Warriors, like the prequel Breath of the Wild Hyrule Warriors was like quite good.
Yeah, all those,
quite an essential Zelda game to
versions, play. They have not been bad by any means.
No.
Yeah. So, that was funny. Silver6477 is next. Hey, Kit and Krysta, obviously the Switch has been tremendously successful for Nintendo in an unprecedented way even. How much longer after the release of the Switch successor do you think Nintendo will continue to support the existing Nintendo Switch family of systems with first-party releases?
Yeah, they're going to have to do that dual release thing for a while, I think.
Dual release meaning?
Like, this game is going to work on both.
So your assumption here is yes, there is backwards compatibility?
I think so.
Or are they going to be releasing different versions?
I think there's backwards compatibility.
On different games? Okay.
I think there's backwards compatibility. So they're going to have to do that thing where it's like, this is going to be available on both for a little while.
Right.
I do think that they're going to have to make that transition. We were just talking last week about Sony, how they were kind of going through it, right? With like PS4, PS5.
They haven't been able to move the people over.
For Nintendo, it's going to be very important, and they know this, to move the people over. So at some point next year, I think there's going to be some game that's like a Switch 2 exclusive, maybe Metroid Prime, and that might be the point where they start to decrease that support a little bit. But I think they give it a couple months, maybe till the end of next year. But yeah, they're going to be pretty incentivized, I think, to have some kind of exclusive that's like, they always say like software sells hardware. They would lecture us about that all the time. And they're going to be very focused on what that software is that's going to sell Switch 2 and make that an exclusive. And that's when people are going to be like, well, hands are tied now. I have to buy this game, to buy the system to buy this game, so to play this game. Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see if that same issue that is afflicting Sony is going to happen to them.
Yeah.
And I kind of had a thought this weekend of like, I wonder if Nintendo in any way regrets having Fortnite, having these games that people get so caught up in. It's like, this is the one thing I do.
Yeah, and I don't care about any other game.
It seemed awesome at the time. We got this huge audience. Like, it totally helped the Switch become this blow up and become this huge thing. But like, at some point, does it become a problem? It's like, well, I can just play Fortnite on my Switch.
Forever,
It is at 12 frames per second, but
I don't care.
I don't care.
I'm like 12.
I don't want to spend, I don't have $400 to buy a Switch 2.
My mom is not going to buy this. My mom is going to say, we have Switch at home.
Exactly. So I do wonder, in hindsight now, like, there was more to this than we understood at the time of bringing those franchises over.
That's such an interesting place to be because that was not an issue 5 years ago.
No.
And we were seeing, remember, I keep thinking about this article and it keeps freaking me out that like, what was it, like 80% of people are playing 5 games?
Well,
like that crazy number.
You know what's one way to get them to move? You pull the plug on the servers. Sorry.
Oh, little Timmy is not going to like that.
Sorry.
Little Timmy is going to be mad.
I could see it being like around a year because it's such a big audience and not everybody can move at once. And honestly, no matter how much stock they build up,
it's just going to take a
while. It is
while.
still going to be hard to find.
Yeah.
There's going to be huge demand for it. And that's still a big business opportunity that you want to keep, straddling that line for a little bit. But yeah, you do need to have a clear strategy of like, all right, we are flipping the switch literally over to the Switch 2, and we're not going to support this anymore.
Right.
And we're in the rearview mirror with that.
Yeah.
And they eventually will shut the servers.
They will.
Sadly. That'll be a bummer when that happens.
That'll be a day.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not ready to think about
Download the games now.
I'm sorry I even said that now.
Oh, you thought the 3DS server shutting down is going to hurt?
All those eShop games, all those eShop exclusive games on the Switch, so much more than there were on those other platforms.
We're never going to get over this. We're never going to get over this.
That's going to hurt.
That's going to hurt.
Yeah. But maybe those will just carry over. Maybe those will just be available on the Switch 2 from day one. The full eShop library. That'd be nice.
Do you think they'll do that?
If it's backwards compatibility, why wouldn't you?
They should do that.
Why not?
I kind of feel like they're not going to.
Or they're probably going to have some technical issue of like, we will introduce this in 2 years.
And then they'll forget about it.
And like, oh, the back end infrastructure can't handle it.
Yeah.
We actually can't do this.
Yeah, because they're operating on like a fax machine.
Yeah. Oh.
So, yeah. Oh.
We got a question from that Connor guy. Hey, Kit and Krysta, do you have insight as to who runs the Splatoon NA Twitter account? It recently has missed translating entire tweets from Splatoon JP, has several mistranslations, and is just generally lacking the fun voice of earlier tweets. Is this because Nintendo views the Splatoon account as marketing, and since sales of Splatoon 3 have remained flat since launch, they just don't see the point in updating the account anymore? So these sorts of accounts that are kind of global in nature go through some different processes than others do, where, especially in the case of Splatoon, where the Japan account is really calling the shots, there's a whole infrastructure in place of getting the posts, getting them translated, getting them ready to go, getting them checked by Japan. So it is a much more in-depth process than something that they might just be posting on the main Nintendo America account that they can just come up on their own and is not beholden to these kind of global, getting the timing right, getting all of
that
this
process
stuff
is
set up.
very complex.
It really is, it should not be understated.
And Japan loves these game-specific accounts.
They've got a lot, yeah.
And there's been a lot like that you had done when you were leading the social team to like talk them off it. Like, let's not have every game should not have its own Twitter account.
Or they can do it if it works for them, but just don't expect us to do the same.
But then they do expect you to do it. Because then you have a Splatoon account, there's an Animal Crossing account, there's a Fire Emblem, I think there's a...
I mean, they started up that Animal Crossing Instagram account and seemingly had zero plan for it. And
there's no plan, there's nothing there now.
There's nothing on it now. So that's an example of, that kind of thinking gone wrong.
Right.
Where, you've made this account, you've built this audience who wants to see stuff, and now it's just nothing.
I don't think they've posted a single thing for that.
Wait for the next game.
Wait for the next
It's the same
Animal
with the
Crossing.
Animal Crossing, the Isabelle account. With tweets.
My beautiful Isabelle account.
Unless it's, this twice a year bug off or something.
Bug off, yeah. The fish thing, the fish tourneys.
It's the bug off in the southern hemisphere. Get excited.
I am, actually.
It's kind of sad when you see those tweets. I think it's just, there's not as much to say about Splatoon at this very moment than there was when that game was coming off. So it's just sort of the natural scope of things where, those resources are going into other accounts and other games.
What do you think about this thing about mistranslating, though? That seems very odd because they do have like somebody on the localization team work on translating the tweets from Japan, and then it goes back to Japan for approval. So what do you think?
I don't know. I need to see the specific case, but that is unusual because there are people.
The process is very
from
rigid.
The localization team who work on those games who get involved. and who check those. I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to say if it's a one-off or it's like a bigger issue.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of these accounts that they're doing this for, so it's possible somebody's
Some
just
oversight,
like doing like 5 at once.
Yeah,
and just like, oh, we just made a mistake.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
We have a question from Zroid.
Zroid.
Howdy, Kit and Krysta. I have not asked too many questions lately since I've been busy, but here's one. I'm curious about your pivot to digital. I think we all had different moments when we became more accepting of purchasing full-price retail software from digital storefronts. Some of us obviously have moved on almost completely from physical games, but I do still enjoy my physical copies. It depends on the game, really. Do you have any rules of thumb on how you decide whether to purchase a physical copy versus a digital copy? Furthermore, do you remember which was the first game you explicitly chose to download when there was a physical option available? Was it a change you welcomed immediately or something that you had to get used to? If you can't remember the specific game, a ballpark estimate of the year and the console would suffice.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely more digital than you are. I think for me, the rule is if it's a special edition that I want.
Well, when has that ever been the case?
I don't really have very many. I did kind of want to get the Paper Mario that had
really?
like the GameCube
the case
cover
thing, yeah.
But I don't know if I can get my hands on that. So
you could make your own.
I could make my own.
You could probably make your own.
That's a good idea, actually.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was kind of neat.
I mean, the truth is this decision got made for us.
That's true.
Because at Nintendo, we got all the games and we were getting physical copies, but then one day they said,
you're
getting codes.
Yeah.
And unless we wanted to rebuy all of those games that we had at our fingertips with codes, that's what we had.
There was a time when they were like, would you prefer a digital or a physical copy?
Oh, yeah.
I do remember that.
Yeah, and I always chose physical.
And I always chose digital.
Yeah. But then at some point it was like, no, you're just getting a code.
There was like a small transition period and then it was just codes.
Right.
I do think that the one that, there must have been one before this, but the one that I remember very firmly saying like, I must have a digital code for this was Animal Crossing. Because I was like, well, I'm going to be playing this game like for a long time. And also I'll be playing.
You play a cartridge for a long time?
But then switching out a cartridge was hard.
You weren't playing anything else?
No, but when I did start to play other games, then you like have it downloaded so you can switch over to it. You know what I mean? So you have the cart that you're playing, your current game, and then you like have your 15 Animal Crossing time.
Okay.
15 minutes of Animal Crossing time.
All right.
So I remember that.
The game that Zroid is asking about for me was Fire Emblem Awakening.
Oh, yeah.
Which earlier on we had to get digital for because they underestimated the demand for that game and the physical copies just sold out so fast.
Oh, yeah.
They had to redirect everything to the stores to sell it. And they said, well, here's what we got. You can have a code. And that became like this whole campaign that we had to do of like, hey, did you know that eShop is a thing? Did you know? Never out of stock in the eShop.
That was like literally a tweet that we wrote. Like never out of stock in the eShop.
Right. Always open. And when we did our video of the 3DS games,
Didn't have it.
I was going through boxes like crazy. I was like, where is my Fire Emblem Awakening?
And you're like, oh.
And I remembered, oh, that's right, I don't have that. So I actually picked that up recently on eBay.
Okay.
Because I was like, that's
remedy the situation now.
That's not good that I don't have that game physical, so I remedied that. We were just talking about my plan for the Switch.
I know. That's a good plan.
Because I have so many of the games digital, but I would like to have them physical at some point.
Yeah, you can just do it.
For example, Unicorn Overlord just went on sale. For $40, I bought that physical because I wanted to have that physical.
Nice.
There's always a time when there's a generational transition where the prices plummet. And they eventually will go back up. Normally it's like a generation later when the nostalgia kicks in.
Yeah.
When the Switch 2 is out, like a year or two into the Switch 2...
It's going to be like $5 bin.
I'm going to be raiding and getting all of those physical games that I need for my Switch collection. I'll get them then.
Yeah, it's going to be so cheap.
I don't need it now. I'll pay less. I'm glad to pay less.
Yeah.
That's the right time to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good idea. I have seen a lot of that Play Asia site.
Oh, yeah.
They sell like physical copies, right?
Yeah.
But because the exchange rate is so good right now, you can pick up Switch games for like $35.
That's good.
So if you get
shipping though?
Well, I was gonna say if you get over $100, you can get free shipping. So if you want to pick up like 4 games,
that's a good one. Okay.
You guys should do that because I looked and there were some good deals on there, like really good deals. I was like, wow, that's so much cheaper.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you don't care to play a game day one and you just want a physical copy and you find a way like 2 weeks for them to ship it to you from Japan, like, do that.
I mean, that's the thing for us now is like we do need the convenience. Where it's like, we're doing a 2-hour podcast on Paper Mario in 4 days. Like, I don't...
I'm going to need to
I'm not
play
comfortable, like, oh, did Walmart cancel my pre-order and now I don't have the game? It's like, no, I'm just going to get it now on Wednesday night and start playing
Yeah,
so...
Yeah. For us, it's like we have to start playing, like, immediately at launch so we can, like, stay up to date on this stuff. But
Kai X is next. Hello, lovelies. We saw the real power of the consumer with the great Helldivers 2 Revolt that got Sony to roll back a misguided decision. While this was overall a good outcome, how do you feel about this power in general? Do you foresee this leading to consumers trying to take control in ways that maybe they shouldn't, knowing that they can use review bombing to get their way?
Oh boy. Yeah, it is a double-edged sword, isn't it? When
Mass Effect 3 says hello.
Well, you get you get rewarded for your revolting. Yeah. It is a Nintendo was always very careful about this because it's like that Fire Emblem or not Fire. I'm sorry, Xenoblade petition.
Right.
Like that was the only time they acknowledged something like this because it was just so. It would such a massive conversation. But yeah, we talked about that a lot. Like, give them an inch and they'll take over the whole thing. You know, so it is a tricky thing to balance.
But yeah, Mass Effect 3 is I think the poster child for this, where they basically changed the ending of the game because people complained. I don't think that's a good thing.
I don't think so either.
You know, what you think of the ending, like kind of like forcing the creators into like make the ending that I want and it needs to be this. It's like, well, is that really what they wanted to do in the first place? So, you know, good or bad, like I would rather it just be what they wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Here's a provocative question. Does review bombing for a game the size of Helldivers 2 matter?
I don't think it does.
I mean, it doesn't feel good if you're the developer, like to see your game getting overwhelmingly negative. But in what way does this materially hurt you?
I would love to see
where the mechanism is already in play of like word of mouth, people are already playing this game, more people are coming in. Is anybody like, oh, this looks bad, I'm not going to play this? I
was just going to say, like, does anyone have actual data around review bombing and sales?
Right.
So I'm going to bet.
Because it always seemed like at Nintendo, when a game got review bombed, it was going to be a surefire hit.
Yeah.
That's how we knew.
Let's not forget Pokemon Scarlet and Violet that became like the
and Sword and Shield
and the multi-million dollar babies.
Yeah.
And they got tons of hate. You know. So again, I don't think from a sales perspective does it really matter. I would love to see the correlation data on that. Yes, you're right that like if you are a developer and you see, you're on Steam, your game is just getting like tanked, that's definitely scary and not like a fun thing to see. But are you still making millions? Like if so, then I don't know, maybe just let it pass.
Yeah.
But yes, the Helldivers situation was unique in that they did need to roll back that decision because it was very like, it's different than changing the ending in Mass Effect, So I think there is some like lines that can be drawn when you are bullying people to change their creative. Like I feel like that could be not such a good thing.
Yeah, this also kind of goes to the Xbox situation with Phil Spencer, where people were getting that rumor of Xbox is going third party, and like Phil is so active and out there. I think he felt compelled to like, oh my gosh, I have to say something. We got to do something. And you've noticed recently, like he has not been out there very much. He ain't tweeting away.
Yeah.
I wonder if he learned something or somebody took him aside and said, hey, this is
feeding the fire.
This is actually becoming an issue. Let's be a bit more strategic about what you're putting out there and when.
Yeah.
And just not have you be like one of the guys
on
the TL,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because I think it actually like riled people up.
Right.
Like it created more of like a frenzy. And then later on when they had to like be pressured to explain the situation, it was like clearly because they had to like sort of roll back some of that stuff that was said. So yeah, I don't know.
Final question is from Krashuri. Sit back now, this one's going to be a doozy. This is a bit of a longer question, which is why I put it at the end.
Okay.
So over the past few months, I 100%ed a little game called Euphoria, the Saga 2. The NES original used to be a virtual console exclusive here in America. Anyways, one of the key features of the game were the handcrafted, felt-like graphics. They even used iron beads to replicate some of the pixel art of the original. It reminded me a lot of some of Nintendo's titles during their partnerships with Goodfeel. In fact, I even read an article on Xbox Wire that detailed that just like Goodfeel, not only did they handcraft the models themselves for reference, they also did some unique things as well, such as using snack foods for the enemy designs, since it's hard to wash the stains off once they get the felt dirty, which was a neat little detail. Overall, it's nice to see more of this kind of Nintendo-only style in other games, given that it's rare to come across nowadays, especially outside of Nintendo and Goodfeel. Do you guys think more games should use this sort of visual style? And additionally, are there any other real-world object motifs you would like to see more often, such as claymation, such as Rainbow Curse and the Neverhood, or building blocks like the Lego games and Earth Defense Force World Brothers?
This game, I've never heard of this game before, but it's such a cool art style. It's very cute, and it has like that handcrafted feel. I do feel like a lot of indie games are taking a lot of inspiration from these kinds of styles, like Paper Trail just came out.
Harold Halibut?
Harold Halibut?
That's the name? Harold?
Yes, Harold.
Okay. Yeah, that one has all, like a Tim Burton Corpse Bride kind of thing to it. And I think those devs said it took them like a decade to make this game or something. So it's obviously not as easy as, doing 3D graphics or pixel graphics or something. But it can definitely give you a vibe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's also that game that was getting a lot of conversation a few months ago where it was somebody that was like working in her embroidery shop, and all the game graphics are like real stitch embroidered. And there was like some...
Is this that puzzle game you were showing me?
No. It hasn't come out yet. I'm blanking on the name, but I will look it up and then add it as text here. Or add a screenshot or something. Yeah. But I was like blown away by like the stitching effect of it. It was so cool. So yeah, I do think that like a lot of indie games have taken the creative liberties to experiment with other types of art styles, which is really fun. I do like when games do things like this. I am wary when the art style becomes a gimmick. Like we talk about that so much with Paper Mario games, when it becomes like everything is in service of this gimmick.
Right.
As long as there's a good balance between that and the gameplay itself, I'm all for like all of these sort of creative ways of designing a game.
Yeah, if you're actually using a physical object, it can get a bit clunky because you're basically doing stop motion to it one way or another. So like I love the look of claymation, but I think of like this game Clay Fighter, which was a SNES game, but they actually did stop motion with claymation, and it was not the smoothest to play kind of game, but it was really cool
looking
to look at.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, like, could they do a Paper Mario game where they're literally it's not just we are pretending to do paper using computer graphics. Like, no, it is all paper.
That's so
crazy. And we are doing, like
handcrafted
handcrafted environments.
Diorama, like kind of like one of those things.
That could be a very interesting. I wonder if there's also something you could do with like plushies.
That's cool.
I feel like there's some idea of like a cute Pokemon game.
But with all plushes?
All of the characters are plushes?
Cute.
I don't know. I have no idea how this would
work. I would
like
to see shadow puppets. Like a game only using shadow puppets. Black and white.
Yeah.
Lighting, cool lighting.
Oh.
And there's this one tradition in my hometown, actually, of China. And it's like shadow puppet opera. I actually have a doll, like a puppet. Oh. It's like really famous there. My aunt actually gave me like a handcrafted puppet as a kid. And yeah, the stuff that they can do with a puppet is really amazing. Like the animations you can do with and the expressions you can do with like a shadow puppet was like incredible. That would be fun to see in a game.
Wow.
There you go.
There's a lot of options there. Wow.
Wow.
Do it.
Wow.
Do it, developers.
Someone.
Just do it. Yeah.
Do it.
Those are all of our questions. Thank you to everybody from our
Thank
Patreon
you.
who sent a question in.
Yeah. Should we do some wonderful Patreon shout-outs?
Let's do it.
First of all, our one and only final boss, Aaron Hash.
Still the boss.
Still the boss. Aaron Hash got one of our mugs.
Yeah.
And was using it as a good luck charm this weekend.
I saw that.
So I was very excited
Looked
about
great.
that. Very nice. And here comes the superstars. Ben Eichhorn,
Mara Mayhem.
Eigenverse,
Kiss My Flapjack.
Mike Chin,
Roy Eschke.
Switching It Up, _
VGM Life.
Link, the hero of Wins,
Angela Bycroft and her Pig Molly.
Thomas O'Rourke,
Kyle LaBeouf.
Roberto Nieves,
Frederick Ulf Conradson.
Andrew Uhas,
Chili.
Bruce Dash,
Simon.
Krashuri.
And our newest superstar,
Whoa.
Master Discord. Welcome.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Welcome. What a name.
The ranks are growing.
The ranks are growing. I did hear that you had forgotten Molly several times over the last few weeks, and there was almost a Superstars revolt.
All right, you know what? I'm just going to write it down here.
And her pig Molly.
There.
We got some new pictures of Molly this weekend, too, and I was excited.
We'll never forget again now.
I love Molly so much. All right, here come the One Up Club. Aaron Burgundy,
Alejandro.
Archimedes,
Astrodev.
Awesome 46,
Bad Moon Horizon.
Benji B,
Bookham Dano.
Bookishly Fab,
Brad SF56.
Brandon Cavapil,
Brooke Obscura.
Brovac Novak,
Called the Space Cowboy.
Cameron,
Chadir.
Chelly Squirrel,
Chris Q.
Christopher Lay,
Captain Alex.
Crimcat,
Cristobal.
C Roper 17,
Dachshund.
Doinko,
Elite Peach.
Esparts 50,
Everything is Awful.
Far Priest 69,
Fairbound.
Fernie and Jess Forever,
Fox Deploy.
Garrett Holfish,
Garth the Wolf.
Gartooth,
Guilty Phoenix 42.
Heroic,
Iris Marin.
Jay Rando,
Jason Ball 34.
Jeffrey Hernandez,
Jesse Hernandez.
Jonathan Rowe,
Jordan Collette.
Jordan Hemmerly,
Joshua Clements.
Juji Fruit,
Justin Lemminger.
Kawa 2796,
Keith Kwan.
Kevin Delane,
Kilo Kibo.
Christorati Elf,
Christopia Party With Me.
Kyle Gamer Berry Rookie,
Kyle Kretzer.
Lazy Cat for Coffee,
Lex.
Lit,
Lynn.
Macho Potato,
Mad Dog 5981.
Magnificent Easy G plus Callie Marie,
Marky Man 64.
Mario Man 392,
Mbukar.
Mecha Dragon 101,
Megan.
Michael Cravens,
Mikey.
Mr. Ryan 07,
Motomania.
Mr. Andy Pond,
Mr. Beans and Dip.
MSN Poke Gamer,
Mytran.
Nasir,
Nathan Burkhart.
Naif E,
Ninja 11.
Panda Buns,
Bangy.
Policy Pace,
Paul Gale Network.
Prime Factor,
Prince Charmless.
Raver,
Rain Tech.
Record Rumble,
Ryeth 1.
Rob Osborne,
Rocks.
Ryanetta,
Sakura Sky.
Sharif Jackson,
Shinryu.
Schmiggles,
Slowbro.
Schnauzle,
Spicy Munchkin.
Steel Citrone,
Tales of Link.
Tay 120 and 64,
Teal Fox 64.
The Kagers,
The Shark Among Men.
The T-Man,
Thomas Alvarez.
3 Rivers,
Timmy V.
Topher Schmofer,
Torcheeks.
Totally Joe Ed,
Travis Torline.
Trajowie,
Tugs Puppy Bear.
Tuscoop,
Tyler Geis.
Video Game Stupid,
Vidge Michter.
Viridian,
Virtual Bot.
Weeb Kingdom,
WG Grizzy.
What Up Khalil,
YU.
Wicked Davy,
Will Johnson.
Zelgaroth,
Zapati.
and Zroid. Wow, I almost sneezed
Oh!
in the middle, but I stopped it. It might be any minute though, so I better finish this up.
Well, now that we've made it to the end, I can reveal that I'm recovering from a bout of food poisoning. So I'm glad to say that we made it to the end of the episode without incident.
Wow, I'm so glad that I didn't get thrown up on. We have a bucket just in case. No, we don't.
No, we don't! There's no
You
bucket!
can throw up in the plate.
Come on! It's not going to happen. I'm better now.
Okay, we have to stop, please. We don't want to.
You have some things to say first.
We don't want to push this any further. Join us on patreon.com/KidKrysta. Don't let this man throw up on me.
If you're watching on video, you can go ahead and subscribe to this YouTube channel, give this video a thumbs up, and leave us a comment. And if you are listening on audio, you can also subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, and a written review, please.
And we're on the socials. We're on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and Threads. All right, enjoy all your Paper Mario playing. Bye.
Bye.